Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Radio Biafra is proud to launch its new mobile app. This app makes it easier for listeners to access live and repeat broadcasts at any given time. The app is available on Android and Apple stores and is free to install, so just search for Radio Biafra into all one word to get the app on your device.
Radio Biafra International broadcasts are always anchored on well-researched information and not based on personalities, frivolities, and foul languages. The main objective of Radio Biafra International is to empower Biafrans and give them knowledge through professionally delivered information, education, and enlightenment towards the ultimate goal of restoration of the nation of Biafra.
So don't forget, Radio Biafra into all one word.
And join us during our podcasts and you'll be glad you did.
Stop spending time with the wrong people. Life is too short to spend time with people who suck the happiness out of you. If someone wants you in their life, they'll make room for you. You shouldn't have to fight for a spot. Never ever insist yourself to someone who continuously overlooks your worth. And remember, it's not the people that stand by your side when you're at your best, but the ones who stand beside you when you're at your worst that are your true friends. Stop trying to be someone you're not. One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everyone else. Someone will always be prettier. Someone will always be smarter. Someone will always be younger. But they will never be you. Don't change so people will like you. Be yourself, and the right people will love the real you. Stop trying to hold on to the past. You cannot start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. Stop being scared to make a mistake. Doing something and getting it wrong is at least 10 times more productive than doing nothing. Every success has a trail of failures behind it, and every failure is leading towards success. You end up regretting the things you did not do far more than the things you did. Stop getting involved in relationships for the wrong reasons. Relationships must be chosen wisely. It is better to be alone than to be in bad company. There's no need to rush. If something is meant to be, it will happen at the right time, with the right person, and for the best reason. Stop rejecting new relationships just because old ones didn't work. In life, you'll realize that there's a purpose for everyone you meet. Some will test you, some will use you, and some will teach you. But most importantly, some will bring out the best in you. Stop trying to compensate against things that are not there. And stop trying to compete against everyone else. Don't worry about what others are doing better than you. Concentrate on beating your own records every day. Success is a battle between you and yourself only. I just have to repeat this. This warrants a repeat. Stop trying to compete against everyone else. Don't worry about what others are doing better than you. Concentrate on beating your own records every day. Success is a battle between you and yourself only. Life is too short to spend time with people who suck the happiness out of you. If someone wants you in their life, they'll make room for you. You shouldn't have to fight for a spot. Never, ever insist yourself to someone who continuously overlooks your worth. And remember, it's not the people that stand by your side when you're at your best, but the ones who stand beside you when you're at your worst that are your true friends.
Jamasa 2020. I take champion of Bakola Kungo and on before you became with you. This is what is stay safe. Whoever start coronavirus money from one. If someone is here about living now, what can you get here? I want to know before you became with you.
Biafra International, empowering the people.
Good morning, good day, listeners all over the world. This is Radio Biafra International, brought to you by Biafra Restoration Movement, BRM. You can get us through different platforms such as the internet, Facebook, YouTube, RBI app, tuning app. You can just simply Google it.
DJ Adamasa 2020. Ade champion Ubakola Kungwe no no from before you be with you. This is what stay safe wherever the coronavirus money from what. Come what they say about living now. What can see that idea. You want to know what before you be with you.
Good morning, listeners all over the world. This is Radio Biafra International, brought to you by Biafran Restoration Movement, BRM. You can get us through different platforms such as internet, Facebook, YouTube, RBI app, tuning app, and you can simply Google Radio Biafra International and get the details in terms of contact lines if you want to call in by phone. So today is Saturday, September the 5th, 2020. And as usual, we have some issues to discuss, to broadcast to you this day that are very relevant to our survival as a people. We are Biafrans, and we have a heritage. We have ancestry. We have culture. We have identity. And we intend to defend that identity just as we have the right to keep it, because we have the right to keep it. Your identity, just like we have individual identities, so social and societal identities, national identities, so do we have ours. But it seems that our identity is a problem for others, even though theirs is not for us. And we have delved in to find out the reason why. And that is what we sort of expose. We do an exposition on in this radio station to educate and inform and persuade our people regarding the need for us to defend our survival and our identity as a people. My name is Odi Moalo, and I'm your broadcast anchor today. With me will be an array of informed Biafran panelists who will come in to help us in the education, the persuasion, and the information that is very, very important to our survival as a people. Before we get into the broadcast, as usual, as is in our tradition, we are Israelites, and we will pray to the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our fathers. We are a people who were in the land of Israel almost 3,000 years ago. And they migrated for certain reasons. People came to the place that is called Nigeria today. We have a God that we worship, the one and only true God, the God of Israel. So we will say a prayer to God. Then we can get into other issues. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you have done for us. We thank you for being God. For you are God alone, seated on the throne, wrapped in light. There is no shadow of turning with thee. God, we worship you. Our God, we reverence you. Your name is most high, Elohim. Your name is Adonai. You are our master and our God, and we bow before thee. Lord, we pledge to dedicate our lives to thee. We pledge to serve thee all our days and to teach our children to do so. For that is your desire for us. As a people chosen for a holy priesthood, chosen to be your own children, to shine as light, to bring more children into your kingdom. Oh Lord, we commit this struggle into your hands. Help us, O Lord, for the help of man is worthless, completely worthless. We depend on you, we hope on you, we trust in you, not our abilities, for we cannot save ourselves. If we could save ourselves, we would have done that already. But it is obvious that it is you that we are waiting on. It is you that delivers by the power of your right hand, that delivers by your outstretched hand. So praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, because he has come and has redeemed his people. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. As he said through his holy prophets of long ago, salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us, to show mercy to our fathers, to remember his holy covenant, the oath he swore to our father Abraham, to rescue us from the hand of our enemies and to enable us to serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all our days. Through the forgiveness of our sins, because of the tender mercies of our God, he will give us knowledge and salvation, by which the rising sun will come to us from heaven to shine on those living in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the path of peace. Amen. Amen. Again, my name is Odi Mohalu, and I'm anchoring this broadcast for this hour and this time. We have different topics to discuss on, and I would like to welcome our one of the very integral part and important pillars of Radio Biafra International in the panel, Chukwusi Kedigwe, to say hello to the listeners. is on the panel.
Hello, Biafrans. Hello, all listeners. Hello, humanity. Hello, all freedom fighters. This is your brother Chuksi Degree. I welcome you today to another special broadcast from the people's favorite radio station, Radio Biafran International. Here we educate, we inform, we entertain, and we break down the news so that you can understand it in a layman's language. We tell you the way it is here. We don't massage words, but we don't insult people. That's what we do in RBI, and we welcome you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chukwukadigwe. As we have our other panelists coming, that will join us in this broadcast for the day. Now, to get straight into the topics of the day, we will discuss the issues of waterway bills, the KAMA law 2020, and there's also an issue of forcing Southeast candidates to adopt Northern states as states of origin to beat discriminatory cut-off marks into unity schools. The waterway bills. I would like to bring some very pertinent information regarding that. And this is information from Vanguard News of September the 3rd, 2020, and which is this last Thursday. It says that Muhammadu Buhari's administration can be credited with a number of policies and legal instruments perceived to be stifling the democratic space and capable of setting the various Nigerian groups at pertinent loggerheads with one another. Apart from the hate speech bill, an anti-social media bill, the regime has also pushed for the Ruga policy, which had to be suspended because Nigerians vehemently rejected it. Also, the potentially explosive water resources bill, which failed to pass in the 8th Senate, has been reintroduced in the House of Representatives. This time, the promoters of this bill are desperately violating the due process to ram it through. Titled, the Water Resources Bill 2020, Section 13, states, quote, in implementing the principles under subsection 2 of this section, the institutions established under this act shall promote integrated water resources management and coordinated management of land and water resources, surface water and groundwater resources, river basins and adjacent marine and coastal environment, and upstream and downstream interests. Section 2(1) of the bill says, quote, all surface water and groundwater water, wherever it occurs, is a resource common to all people, unquote. Simply put, the bill seeks to empower the federal government to control all sources of water in Nigeria. The federal government can permit anybody or group from any part of the country and to go and possess any water resource without the consent of the local communities. Let me read that again. It says, simply put, the bill seeks to empower the federal government to control all sources of water in Nigeria. The federal government can permit anybody or group from any part of the country to go and possess any water resource without the consent of the local communities. This is nothing but another push for the defeated Ruga policy. This is nothing but another push for the defeated Ruga policy, packaged to grab people's lands, to set up grazing reserves or cattle colonies with desertification, terrorism, and violence ravaging parts of the North. This bill is seen as a ploy by the federal government to deprive some people of their natural patrimony for the benefit of others. without the voluntary consent of the resource owners. If this bill is allowed, herdsmen under federal, quote unquote, federal mandate can take over lands adjoining the springs, streams, rivers, lakes, lagoons, and coastal precincts, which have served as means of livelihood for the local communities since the dawn of time. The federal government will be appropriating the constitutional powers of the state governors to hold land resources in trust for the people of their states. It will be a recipe for disaster. The conflicts and bloodshed that this provocative law will trigger will be endless. Land and water resources have been the major causes of wars in history. This will certainly not be an exception. The purveyors of these predatory laws are enemies of our national stability and must be stopped. If it were still under military rule, the Water Resources Bill and similar laws will simply be promulgated and rammed down the throats of Nigerians, not minding the consequences. This bill must be thrown out again to save Nigeria from violent disintegration. And these are for those who still love Nigeria, to save Nigeria from violence. And when we say the federal government, we mean the Fulani government of Nigeria. Because the government has been hijacked by Islamic jihadists. And what are they doing? They are using that government as a tool to oppress, to take land, to conquer the rest of the Christian areas of Nigeria. That is all that is going on. This is also jihad, by any means necessary. And let us call it what it is. So this is, I want to also go back in time and quote certain things about this sort of laws, because even under Obasanjo's regime, we see that such bills also came up. This article actually reminds us that if it was under a military regime, this will simply be passed and rammed down the throat of people, because the military rules by decrees. It does not seek, is a government that doesn't seek the consent of the people. It is a government that has that does not follow the statutory process. It is a government that is simply command and control, has a command and control system and structure. So they said that if it was in a military government, it would be rammed down people's throat. And I want to also go back and make a very important reference to this, this write-up. And here I want to quote David Apode-Ejo, who was the former military governor of the defunct Midwest region. And this was what he said in Punch newspaper, Sunday, July 30, July the 3rd, 2005. And I quote, it says, "But the whole problem of resource control that we are experiencing now could be traced to the land use decree, which was promulgated by Obasanjo's regime shortly after he succeeded Moritala. Obasanjo had the support from the North because they all know that with the decree, the federal government owned everything. And by that, they could all share from the resource of the nation at the center." This is David Apode-Ejo, the former military governor of the defunct Midwest region, on Sunday Punch newspapers, July the 3rd, 2005. So that was about 15 years ago. He further said something important here. He says, quote, "If the requests on resource control of the South is not granted, what the rest of the country will be telling us is that we are not part of the entity called Nigeria, that we should go our own way. Then we will have no option than to gain independence, as from Britain, Nigeria has turned the South to a colony We are being colonized. We will not allow ourselves to be marginalized continually. This is David Odejo in the same newspaper the same day. What does this show you? It shows you that the idea of annexing land and waters of peoples has always been going on. I mean, and this is in tradition of the Fulani people, because, I mean, Uthman Danfodio is the first land grabber who came in 1804 and grabbed the lands of the north and conquered and subdued so many people. As you have Fulani hegemony. And then now they're moving down south to do the same thing. They seized the government, hijacked the government, and they are using the government now as an instrument to advance their conquest, to advance the annexation of land and resources of people, which they had already done. After all, 83% of the oil blocks down there in Biafra land are owned by Northerners, you know? And this was from a very top information released by a very top legislator. And we all know that. So the rest, they share it with people from the West. You know, they are servants, people who serve their interests. So we can see that the people who own the resources in their own ancestral lands are not using for their benefit. That is why there is poverty in this area. That is why there's lack of infrastructure. There's lack of amenities. That is why life is very difficult for so many people. Why are we saying this? We're saying this so you can understand that our lives are affected by people. If somebody is in an office somewhere causing the suffering of millions of people because of unfairness, because of inequities, because of corruption, because of embezzlement, because of being undemocratic, because of being intransparent, not being transparent or accountable or responsible. These are qualities that are needed to be embedded in the governance process so that people can be able to benefit from the idea of government. People can benefit because the government is there to serve the people. The government is created for the people, not the people for the government. And that's why we keep saying this idea of somebody coming and making laws without consultation of the people, now violating the very sovereignty of the people who own the land. The people who own the land, it is their land. The first government actually you have is the government of the people. When you mean the people, you mean the indigenous people of the land first. We are not talking about all these, what do you call it? All these countries that are created out of colonization. They're artificial, very artificial. But when you talk about the indigenous people of the land, that was the first government because they were governed themselves and they lived on their own. They have an identity. And the problem we have in Nigeria is that they don't want to recognize that identity of people and respect it because the government has been seized and hijacked by Fulani people who are there simply to conquer others and to conquer others and force them under Islamic law, Islamic Sharia law, which is operational in 19 states of the North today. From the year 2000, it began in Zamfara state and is still operational. The other 19 states took it and now it's operational in the North. Sharia law. How can a Christian function in an area that is operating under Sharia law? When Sharia law is against secular constitution. You see the confusion that is in this country. And this is what we're telling people to take a look at, to see if you still want to be a Nigerian, to see if you still should have a hope that Nigeria would work. Because we are telling you authoritatively and reasonably from facts that are available that is unworkable. It is simply an unworkable creation, political creation. It is unworkable because the value system of the people in the North, in Islamic North, is diametrically opposed to that of Christians. it is opposite. It is diametrically opposed. They can't work together. Sharia law demands from you certain obedience and compliance, which you don't find in the Christian society. Christian societies would allow a secular society. They allow separation of church and state. The Islamic society does not allow that. So there is no separation of church and of government and mosque. Actually, Islam is used as a means of governance. Simple Islamic law. Hence, you have the Sharia law right there. In these places, you have governors and you have legislators who are representatives to Abuja in National Assembly. And they act like, oh, well, they are Democrats. How can they be Democrats? How can they be Democrats when they are practicing anti-democratic belief system and ideology? Because Islamic practice is not democratic. It's anti-democratic. So how can you have these people over there and we're all pretending and saying, oh, this is Nigeria. What we do to make Nigeria improve? What we do to all this talk is simply means that you are in denial of the reality that is facing you. That is why they're passing these bills now about the control of water resources. Why should they be fighting to control the water resources of indigenous people? Mazi Chuksi Kerigwe, I would like to bring in your own view of this, because we are under an onslaught. We are under an invasion, as we can see. The people who came to Nigeria 200 years ago, all of a sudden, has hijacked the government, and they're using the government to take the lands of everybody else, while killing people too, because they're massacring and killing. And Nigerians are there, Christians are there, everybody's just looking. Now things are affecting, the people everywhere in such a way that their life is so unstable, so unsettled, that they're getting worried. And we're telling them, no, you don't just complain, you organize. You organize, you form links, you form connections with people. If you cannot form it politically, openly, you form it underground. You form the links that are necessary for you to fight for your survival. Please add one or two.
Now, all our listeners, I must confess that these are really trying time for anybody who is not planning Islamic terrorists in this country. These are really a trying time for us, and that's why it's very imperative that we are all awake to the reality that is happening. We must understand that this is a Fulani and Islamic agenda operational. It's already operational, it's working, they are systematically following it, and most of us are not really active to what is really happening. And that's why I thank our BI and our BRM that we're talking about these issues. We are bringing it to the fore, and we're educating our people about it, because only the man who is awake that his house cannot, things in his house cannot be taken away, but a man who is asleep, anything in his house can be taken away. So thank God that we are awake, thank God that we're educating our people. And I must tell us something. This bill is an executive bill, okay? It's not just an ordinary bill, it's an executive bill. What do I mean by it's an executive bill? The waterway bill. It's a bill sponsored by the presidency, okay? And what's really happening? What is the intention for bringing this bill? We shouldn't forget the fact that this bill was defeated, just like you read in that article. This bill was defeated in the 8th Senate, in the Saraki-led Senate, was defeated in that Senate because it's an unpopular bill. It's very unpopular. It doesn't have anything to add to humanity. It doesn't have anything to add to the indigenous people. And that's one thing about bills. For it to be, the essence of bill is you are not bill that can help people, the laws that can help people. But this bill has nothing to add. So what did they do? When they got defeated in the last Senate, after somebody is bringing it through the back door, because this is exactly what's happening now, through the back door. And I must tell us that as of last check, this bill has already passed first, second reading. In fact, they said there's no more need in the House of Rep. They are saying there's no more need to do the first and second reading of this bill because it was read. Okay, they're actually saying that there's no need for public hearing on this bill because they have already gone through public hearing in the 8th Senate. Normally, every bill will go through public hearing, first reading, second reading, and every other thing because it becomes a law. But this time around, They are just rushing it, and that's why we must understand what is happening. They are just rushing it. They've gone through first and second reading. They didn't allow it. They didn't set it to public scrutiny because they know what they are doing. They know the public will always shoot it down. They have gone in the House of Rep. Then in this, then in the Senate, he has not gotten to the Senate right now, but we mustn't forget the fact that the Senate president has said before that anything Buhari does is good for the nation. In other words, even if Buhari should pass this kind of, even if you bring this kind of bill, is good for the nation. So you must know that as far as the man is concerned, once this bill comes, it's going to get passed. That's why our people must pull up, make sure we tell our senators there to make sure they shoot down this bill. And what are really the harm of this bill? Just like you read in that press that newspaper publication, this bill will make it for you to even dig sink borehole in your place. For me to even dig sink borehole in my village, I have to go to Abuja to take permission from who? From the presidency, and they know that this president is always going to be in the hands of the Fulanis. It's as bad as that. And then somebody can just come to your community, your waters, your streams, every water becomes under the control of the government. In other words, they would have taken everything that belongs to us. Most of the time, the north does not have that much water. What they have is massive land as far as they are concerned. But this land is, of course, yeah, whatever is in the soil, they take it for themselves. But this only water that our people fish. In other words, if this bill should still, we can't even fish without taking permission from them. We can't do anything in our land without taking permission from them, because the land will definitely be at their control, will be at their mercies. And I bet that people who will suffer this bill might not even be the southeast alone, but the south will be massively affected because their land, their livelihood depends on water. And this is what this government is trying to take away from our people. And then we also know that this is another guy in his form. In other words, they can send their since we've stopped Ruga, they can come through the land. They can send those their cows and every other to take over the land through. They can send their terrorists through the land, push through the water this time around, and they will just encircle the communities. We should also forget that recently the United States West African force was warning that terrorist organizations are going through the state surrounding waters. So you should also know that this has they are playing two roles now. This is having access. This bill will actually give permanent um, rights to this terrorist organization to encircle, go through the waters and encircle communities. So this is why they're pushing it. This is why they don't want it to go through second reading. This is why they don't want to go through public hearing. They just want it to rush it over. It's a public, it's a it's a bill that's sponsored by the executive, and what they've determined what to do, and what to do is to take the land that belongs to the indigenous people, and they won't know what to do with it, because once they take it, we are finished. We'll be at their mercy. And it's imperative that we speak out, make our House of Reps and senators to shoot down this bill. That's the only way we can be free from it. Because the evil it brings to our land, we will not only destroy us, to destroy our future generations and our generation. So we must shoot it down right now. We must tell the executive. We have so many things that we are lacking in this country that should be their priority. I don't know why this kind of bill that offers nobody anything to be their priority. But in the nutshell, we must all understand that this is planization and an Islamic agenda at play. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mazi Chuksi Kedigwe, for what that analysis you gave. And sorry, listeners, for that interruption. It was due to a technical fault. We do have them sometimes, so please bear with us. So, Mazi Chuksi Kedigwe mentioned something that is very, very important for us to think about regarding what is happening right now. About ISIS, the conquest, Islamization, and conquest campaign of the jihadists from the north. We know that, and it is so evident, and that is why Christians have to organize. From the northern Christians to the Middle Belt Christians to the southern Christians have to organize, particularly those in South, Southeast, and Middle Belt and northern Christians. You should organize yourselves. Organize and work out your salvation. You need to work it out. Yes. Because nobody else is going to come there and do it for you. You have to do it yourself. In Vanguard of Wednesday, August the 5th, there was a report about ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Al-Qaeda planning to penetrate southern Nigeria. This was the US that was warning. And I'll remind you of that by reading this again. It says, the United States says Al-Qaeda and ISIS are looking to make an inroad into southern Nigeria. It also said Al-Qaeda has started penetrating the northwestern part of the country. In a media briefing, Dagvin Anderson, commander of the U.S. Special Operations Command, Africa, said Al-Qaeda is also expanding to other parts of West Africa. In the remarks seen by the cable, Anderson said the U.S. will continue to partner with Nigeria in sharing intelligence. We have engaged with Nigeria and continue to engage with them in intel sharing and in understanding what these violent extremists are doing, he said. And that has been absolutely critical to their engagement up in the Borno state and into an emerging area of northwest Nigeria that we are seeing Al-Qaeda starting to make some inroads in. So this intelligence sharing is absolutely vital, and we stay fully engaged with the government of Nigeria to provide them with an understanding of what these terrorists are doing, what Boko Haram is doing, what ISIS West Africa is doing, and how ISIS and Al-Qaeda are looking to expand further south into the littoral areas. Anderson regretted that despite successes recorded in previous years, there has been a setback, adding, we as a community of international nations keep thinking we have defeated them or we have put them on their back foot and that they are just moments from disintegration. Anderson said for international efforts to yield desired results in the fight against terrorism in Nigeria, the government must take the lead. When it comes to Nigeria in general, Nigeria obviously is a critical nation for West Africa. It's a critical nation, and we realize that Nigeria is a linchpin, he said. Now, there are certain various very, very clear faults with this information. I mean, in terms of the position of the American commander, Dagvin Anderson, the commander of the U.S. Special Forces Command in Africa, first is that you're sharing intel with the Nigerian government. Well, the Nigerian government is actually Boko Haram. The Nigerian government are the terrorists because it is the Fulani people and the Kanuri people who are Arabs originally who have taken over the government. They are the ones who are actually pushing the Islamic agenda. So when you say you're sharing information with them, people raise their eyebrows like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It is the government that is the terrorist organization. It has been hijacked. The government has been hijacked, And so he says, here he owns up. Anderson regretted that despite successes recorded in previous years, there has been a setback. You see that? Despite successes, why is there a setback? Because you've been sabotaged by the Nigerian Islamic Jihadist government. of Fulani people and Kanuri people. That's why you have that setback. You're endangering yourself actually by working with them. So why should we be the ones giving the United States this type of intelligence? Are they doing this deliberately? Because why would anybody believe that the US doesn't know that the Nigerian government is simply a terrorist government that's been hijacked by the Fulani and the Kanuri people, who are Arabs, the Shua Arabs. That's all they are. What else? And like I said, go and check Arab history. It's all trouble everywhere they go. From Arabia, where they come from, and see how they spread in North Africa, how they spread through the Levant. Trouble for 1,400 years fighting since Islam came in, because they weren't like that until Islam emerged 600 years after Christianity through a man known as Muhammad Ibn Abdullah, their prophet, whom they always say, peace be unto you. Which peace? They want peace for themselves and give the rest of the people war. That's what Islam teaches. And we can see it going on. That is what is driving these people in this so-called contraption called Nigeria. And Christians, it is time that you stop actually acting like fools by talking about how you are going to save Nigeria. Because it's unsalvageable. It's unsalvageable by the differences of the disparate peoples that constitute that geopolitical area. It is difficult for you to salvage it because their value systems are diametrically opposed to each other. There is no unity. There are no ingredients to form unity there. Even Lord Lugard, that set up that contraption, eventually, one of the people that set up the contraption, described these different cultures as oil and water that will never mix. So they knew what they set up there, something that won't work. And then they work with the Fulanis to give them access towards our oil reserves, our resources, from tin, from Jos to coal in the east, and now oil, and cut it away. So colonialism is all about, treacherous ways of pulling and robbery. That's what it's all about. And it's time that our people realize that and stop thinking about Nigeria as your country. That is your problem, because you don't understand that this thing is unworkable. So, because if you understand that it's unworkable by the facts that are given before you, you start working for your own safety, not, working for, say, everybody has to be one. How do we, the Fulani people are very crafty. If they are not crafty, how did they reach this extent? From killing the Harbe kings in Sokoto, Gobert, which name used to be Gobert, Hausa kings, killing all those kings of other places, Snupe people. The Nupe, Sunupe is a Fulani, the traditional ruler. Can you imagine? And Nupe people, Fulani people. Why are Nupe people allowing that man there? Why is Hausa people allowing Fulani people to be there as their head? Why? These are indigenous Africans who were there before them. And they'll come up and then talk. And they'll, use all kinds of crafty ways to seize power. They kill their leaders, seize power, subdue them. And when they subdue you into poverty too. Poverty, they make you their slaves. That is the idea of Islam. Subdue others and make them their slaves. And they tell you, oh, well, once you become a Muslim, you are equal to every Muslim. That's a lie. Go and check black people whom they enslaved. This is the first people that enslaved black Africans in huge numbers were Arabs. The trans-Sahara slavery was there before the transatlantic slavery. And trans-Saharan slavery, if you go, there are black people in Arab world. They are subdued as people of a lower caste. That is the point we're making here. So to claim that there is nothing that Islam has to do with justice, equity, fairness, equal rights. No, they hate that. When the Muslims took over Jerusalem around 635 AD, Islam started 610. By 635, they're taking over some areas of the Byzantine Empire, which was there in the Levant. What happened? They subdued the Christians and the Jews. They subdued the Christians and the Jews. This is written in their Quran to subdue them. Can you imagine that? So, but when you look at Muslims, when they live in predominantly Christian areas in the world, nations and countries and society, you see anybody subduing them? No, they are free. They exercise their freedom. But they exercise their freedom and give trouble, because some of them that's hearing me now will say, oh yeah, but they're persecuting us. Because you are troublesome people. Islam is nothing but trouble to everybody. Nothing else. You come into a society, you create your own. You create your own in the same society and begin to make your own laws to impose on them in the name of Sharia law. What type of nonsense and rubbish is that? What type of rubbish is that? If you cannot subject yourself to the laws of a land, then please leave. Oh, you say, well, I was born here. Go to where your great-grandfathers came, because that is not your original land of your fathers. Go to where you can practice Islam. I have said it here. If you go to most Christian countries, you see Islam actually flourishing. You see them build mosques here and there. They're practicing the religion. Christians, some of them are just almost completely ignorant, of what, even the Muslims who are practicing it, a lot of them are ignorant of what they're practicing. There's no doubt about that. It's not against Muslims, so that particularly we're directing our attention to the ideology itself, the religious ideology. So why so? In the last broadcast, we mentioned that in the United States, there are about 2,100 mosques. In the United Kingdom, there are about 1,500 mosques. In France, there are about 2,300 mosques. In Israel, there are about 400 mosques. In Italy, 2,200 mosques. In Belgium, 380 mosques. Can you imagine that? But in Islamic lands, the public practice in any other form of religion in any other Islamic country is illegal. Your intention to convert others is viewed as criminal. Proselytization is banned. You cannot try it. If you do it, you violate the law. Saudi Arabia authorities could accept private practice of your religion. That means hide it. Do it in hiding. We don't want to see you. You can even bring some religious texts, but make sure you hide them, because they could also cramp up some charges and charge you for that. So, but no Muslim countries allows Christianity to proselytize or freely speak. The penalty for that is death in Saudi Arabia. Dubai, the supposedly most tolerating of diversity among mainly Islamic nations. You are free to pray, but don't try to convert anybody. You see? So this is the point. So you can see how Islam functions. This is what you're seeing in Nigeria. They hijack government. They're using the government to seize land. They're using the government to kill the people of the land, subdue. They're using Nigerian government as an instrument of jihad. That is what Nigerian government is right now. The instrument of jihad. That's why out of 18 prime security posts, 17 of them are controlled by Islamic jihadists. And we explain, you are waiting for what? I don't understand, before you understand how dangerous these people are. They are not reasonable people. I keep saying it. Anybody practicing this religion, having this belief, cannot be reasonable. It's not possible. I'm telling you. They can come out to debate us any day. They are not reasonable. Just look at it yourself. Is Muhammad a reasonable person? Somebody who went slaughtering people, taking women as sex slaves, sleeping with a 6-year-old girl. Is that a reasonable man? Is that a man who his senses are correct? Just because somebody has something that looks like a religious text, looks religious, doesn't mean it's of God. There are so many religious texts that are not really of God. So it's very clear. So how can you compare that with the works of Christ? Simply incomparable. This is the direct opposite. So we must understand the dangers that lie in this type of acquiescence. Already even Wole Soyinka has sounded the note that this water resources bill is going to cause a lot of trouble. It will cause a lot of trouble, definitely, when you want to take people's lands and grab it by force. They are undemocratic. They don't believe in equity. They don't believe in equality. It's not, Islam is a religion that keeps a society in a caste form, where some people are right on top, imposing their will on the rest. The rest are servants. They live throughout their life in servitude, and their descendants will live in servitude as well. That is why we have beggars in the north to very alarming levels. Very, very alarming levels. Beggars everywhere in the north. Because it is the product of Islam that you talk about. Then some people are ready to criticize that, oh, we don't love ourselves. Now, let's talk about Kama. We talk about water resources bill, and there is another one, the Companies and Allied Matters Act. The Christian Association of Nigeria has rejected the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, especially as it applies to churches. President Muhammadu Buhari had on August 7 signed the Kama bill into law, giving provision for religious bodies and charity organizations to be regulated by the registrar of the Corporate Affairs Commission and a supervising minister. In a statement on Thursday, signed by the special assistant on media to the association's presidents, Adebayo Oladeji, Khan rejected the law, tagging it as unacceptable, ungodly. As part of the reasons for the rejection, Khan listed spiritual responsibilities and obligations of the churches, adding that they cannot be controlled by the government. The government cautioned the body cautioned the implementation of the law, arguing it is an invitation to trouble that the government does not have the power to manage. Khan advised the government to focus on providing infrastructure and equal security for the people. The full statement of Khan is reproduced below. Christian Association of Nigeria, Khan rejects Kama completely. The leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria rejects outright the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 that was assented to by President Muhammadu Buhari recently. By implications, he has replaced the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 1990. The law, to say the least, is unacceptable, ungodly, reprehensible, and an ill wind that blows no one any good. It is time bomb waiting to explode. We recall that during the first term of the president, there was a public hearing conducted by the National Assembly on the Non-Governmental Organizations Bill, tagged Bill for an Act to provide for the establishment of the Non-Governmental Organizations Regulatory Commission for the supervision, coordination, and monitoring of non-governmental organizations, which was attended by Khan and many NCOs. At the public hearing, the bill that sought to bring the religious organizations and NGOs under the control and influence of the government was totally rejected because it would snuff life out of the church, rank the church as a secular institution under secular control. We thought it was all over until we heard of the Kama that was assented to by the president, making the rejected bill a law. The satanic section of the controversial and ungodly law is section 839, 1 and 2, which empowers the commission to suspend trustees of an association, in this case, the church, and appoint interim managers to manage the affairs of the association for some given reason. You see that? So this is how clever the Fulani people are. And look at what they say. It says, we thought it was already over in the first meeting they had. How can you think it was already over? So, they are using the government now, the laws as instruments to control the church as well. It is what they do. That's Islam. They're trying to bring everybody else under Islamic law, where the church is now, under the government, which they control and hijack. Some of you are talking about oh, Igbo presidency of 2023. Who do you think they're going to put there? They'll hijack the government. That person will be under oath to do their own bidding. And when after doing their own bidding, they will say it's an Igbo man is there. You see, this is what Igbo man is doing. This is to look at Igbo man. He's the one that ruined Nigeria. So, that's what Nigerians like to say all the time. That's why they are so devilish, the people. And that is why their country is a mess as it is. People who are just on God, they don't have any love for God in them, for the truth. This doesn't exist in them. Rather than say the truth that Igbo presidency, even if you're going for it, supposing you're going for it, you also have to admit that it's not the solution to Nigeria's problem. Nigeria has to divide. It has to divide. Because the people there, their value systems are completely opposite each other. They are irreconcilable. You cannot reconcile their belief system. Simple and short. Every other thing you're doing there is a waste of time. This is why after going to a meeting that Khan said, okay, we thought it was over. Now they bring it up now. They want to take it through the back door. Even while it hasn't passed the normal statutory legislative process, they want to ram it through so that, the government, the president just signed this as a bill, even though it hasn't passed through the National Assembly the way it should. You see that? So these are people you're dealing with. They are trying to simply Islamize the whole place, and it is obvious. And that's why you can. I'm talking to Christians who are still dreaming, because some of you are still dreaming. You are just there looking, rather than organize. Don't dream, my brother. Don't stop dreaming, my sister. Wake up. Do something to salvage your people. Let me read what Obadiah might life here. This is the former deputy governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, quoted, and I'm quoting him actually, on Vanguard News, Sunday, August 23rd, 2020. And he said, quote, "Let me make some revelations, because some of us also have our own intelligence network. We have met with some of the bandits. We have met with some of their high commanders, one or two who have repented. They have sat down with us, not once, but not twice. They told us that one of the northern governors is the commander of Boko Haram in Nigeria." So you can see these are people you say they are democratic. This is the governor of Borno State, this is the governor of Sokoto State, this is the governor of Yobe State. He's a Democrat. This is a representative in the House of Assembly of Yobe and Kano State. These people are simply Islamists. Islam and democracy cannot work. It is impossible. They either choose to be Democrats or they choose to be Muslims. I'm telling you, because you can't walk the two. That is why whatever is going down there is simply a pretense and waste of time. Mazi Chuksi Keribe, I would like you to talk about this karma, because churches now is affecting churches. They are complaining. All along, they see what is going on. They don't organize. They are doing, this is my empire, and that the other one is your empire. Building churches as empires where you simply impose your will rather than the will of God in places. And then after imposing your will there, you ignore the issues that pertain to the society, general society as well. And this attitude is what has affected the church. Khan is crying now because he has affected the church. They have made a law that affects the church. All along they have been killing people. All along they've been doing, you refuse to do nothing. Even Christians. I remember Michika, who was killed in Adamawa. The Khan leader was beheaded and put on this thing. They just talk and walk away. And you think that these barbaric Muslims are going to be just there and watch you. You are giving a sign to them that you're weak. They will attack you like wild animals, because that's what they are. And that's why this karma is coming again now. So, Master Chuksikeri, please give us a word or two regarding that.
Is an past to the
Master Chuksikeri, where your communication is breaking.
Hope it's better now. Let me change position.
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah, I'm saying that this law is obviously another introduction of the Islamization agenda, Islamization agenda. This was debated before. They thought it was all over, and that's why I'm saying that our people must be awake, fully awake, with our two eyes open, because we would think it's all over. Even the Ruga that was suspended, the Ruga wasn't cancelled. It wasn't cancelled. It was just suspended. They can bring it up if they try all these means and it doesn't work. They can just bring it up all of a sudden, and they'll just seal on it. Okay, so this is exactly what's happening with the Kama. I don't know where all along we've always been told that the state should be different from the churches, and out of a sudden you are joining you are now making the law, the state to have direct control of the churches. They can decide a Christian, you can you can you can disband the trustee of a church and bring in maybe a Muslim to come and head the church. And then some Christians are supporting that mentality. They don't even care whether the person has the spiritual upstanding to be in that trustee, to be a member of the trustee. They don't say, and all they need is that they want to make sure that the church goes down, down, down. We must wake up to it because it's really playing up in our eyes. We are seeing it, and it's a devilish law, or it's a devilish bill. Now, the most thing is that it has even been signed to law. It's now we are on operational law. And we mustn't forget something, okay? If there's any law that Buhari should be thinking of signing now, it should be the electoral bill. Even the one that was made, he rejected it. But this one that suits the Islamization agenda, he was so fast to sign it into law, even without the churches knowing. He just ran away and signing it to law because it will favor them, and then they are defending it. They are defending it, fighting anybody. Once you're posting in social media, they will come after you, level allegations of why you, tell you how the Christians are flying planes and the rest of it, how their followers are trekking and the rest. And you begin to ask, what of the government that has all the resources in the world? What have they really done? Why are their eyes after the church?
Exactly.
Our people must understand what is happening. If they will get, if there's any way they can get these churches, bring them down, is through this camera. And the most of it is that most Christians are not working. And the funniest is that they keep comparing it. They keep making comparison between what they brought in here and what is operational in UK. They tell you that in UK the church is subject their this thing, subject their accounts to the control of the states there. But they forget that in the UK that they are comparing, the government give grants to the church so that the church can affect life. Well, have they done any of such thing here? If you give me grants, then I should be able to give you my book to look how I spend the money. But hey, you don't give the church any grant, and you ask them to bring that book. You are telling them that you can remove their trustee without recourse to the law, and that is the most disgusting of it. Without recourse to the court, look up and do it without even going through the court. All you have to do is just to keep one or two members of the church to start an allegation that there's a criminal breach or that's not well accounted, and then first, who of course is a northern Muslim, will just come in and just take away the trustees of that church, hand them over to a Muslim, and then when it goes into that, it's not going to stop again. It will remain permanently. That whatever they will do to remain, make sure that this thing remains, will be there forever. I believe that this, just like the Christian Association is saying, this Kama law is a wind that will blow nobody no good. It has nothing to offer anybody. It's devilish. It's archaic. It's outdated. It's all the bad things you can think of. And I'm also happy that you also affect some NGOs like Sept, because Sept has always been on the head of this government, criticizing them, writing them, and all these things are what they are fighting against. Because the church has actually been critical of the government. Some of the NGOs have been really critical of, and these are the NGOs and the churches that they're after. They want to make sure that they part of them, because when they snap life out of them, they can do anything. Nobody will challenge them. After all, those people that took us to Ojota to protest, most of them are now in this government and they've all shut up. So the few of us that are talking, especially the churches and some of the NGOs, are those that want to punish with this law now. Shouldn't forget that any other person that makes noise, you must come under an umbrella, either through the church, through the NGOs and what. And once this thing succeeds, once we ask the government to do anything, once we criticize the government, once we aim to carry out a protest, they will instigate into their station.
Yeah.
You know, they would have brought in somebody to take over the trustees of such organization, and this is a perfect plan that are coming up, and our people must wake up to realities and shoot down these scammers where at least ask for it to change. If there's anything that needs for the president to sign into law now, is views like the Electoral Act and not this scammers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Or
much.
at worst, that section of it that's very bad to be at least repealed it. If the other sections are good, we can manage the other one. But this one, no, we must take it back. Must affect us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mazi, for that. Then, you know, fellow Biafrans and Christians in this contraption called Nigeria, you can see that it is not, the future cannot be bright for you with this Islamic hegemony, with this Islamic oppression, with this Islamic onslaught, because they are killing, you know, now they call them bandits. These are Fulani herdsmen or Boko Haram people. This is Kanuri and Fulani doing this onslaught. The same Arab people, you know, bringing an onslaught to you, the indigenous people of the land. You know, how are you going to, what are you going to do? That is the question. You know, are you still into one Nigerian thing? You know, we are going to be one. We will live happily ever after. You see that that's a dream. You know, it's a dream. So look at it. The complaints are there. The Middle Belt is a mess in terms of the killings going on. El Rufai, bankrolling, using the bankrolling language, you know, which has surfaced interestingly recently. You know, bankrolling the Fulani terrorists. El Rufai is a terrorist. Buhari is a terrorist because he has been the patron of Mietiala. So this one that is sitting in for him right now, though he's dead, you know, he's also, playing his role. So he's a member, he's a patron of Mietiala. Mietiala has been declared internationally as a terrorist organization, which is what they are, killing people. And this is something that our so-called political leaders would go and say they are proscribing a Biafran organization without, it's just unbelievable that what is happening is going on. Just unbelievable. It's amazing. And the reason why evil grows this bad is because good people do nothing. They're just there looking to, a comfortable way to criticize others and talk, but nothing. And that's why we say organize, organize, organize. Join a group, join your town union, talk about this stuff in town union. Your town union meeting, don't just go there and come out without talking about it, without raising these topics. Because it's by raising these topics you raise the consciousness. It's by raising these topics you force other people to pay attention to what ordinarily they won't pay attention. A lot of people are not paying attention. They're going about their daily work. They're just going, finding what they eat, their shelter, their food, their clothing, that's all. They don't bother to check what is going on. A lot of people don't know about this scammer. A lot of people don't know about water resources bill. They don't, because when you keep emphasizing it, that is will make them pay attention and decide to be doing something. You have to go and join a group. Make sure your town unions are strong. Make sure that the organization, Biafran organization, you want to join, they just function there. Because a time will come, they will need all to unite together. There needs to be a sort of internet network where they will be connected. It will be required that they do so. I'm telling you, because these people are not talking about any other thing other than conquest. That's all. We can see how they do this thing, brazenly. They violate people's sovereignty and rights brazenly. That's Islam for you. That's Islam for you. Google it there on your phone. I want to read something that This is a friend of Badayama Lafia and sort of a member of Khan also in the north. What he said, Reverend Gideon Paramalam, he said on Vanguard News of Sunday, August 23rd, 2020, I quote, he says, Boko Haram is an Islamic terrorist group based in northern Nigeria. Its activities since 2009, when the group became radicalized, have led to the death of thousands of innocent Nigerians and have rendered many Nigerians homeless, with many of them internally displaced and becoming refugees in neighboring countries such as Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. You see, this is what these people are doing in Nigeria. Yet you all were fast to jump up to come and fight Biafrans. I mean, sometimes I look at Nigerians, I want to, particularly the Christians, those that claim to be Christians among them, I almost say, God forgive you. God forgive you for your evil. And this is what you cause, you know? Instead of saying that what is wrong, no. You say out of envy and jealousy, you side one group, and before you know it, it affects you. Yes, that's what evil does. As soon as you keep quiet on it and you're not fighting it, trust me, it will reach you. You might think it's at a distance. That distance it is spreading and it's coming gradually. Gradually, it's coming close to you. And when it comes to you, you may not survive it, I'm telling you. You may not survive it. I continue my quote. It says, the group's stated goal was to purify Islam in northern Nigeria and rejecting anything that's associated with Western and Christian values. You see that? That is the stated goal of Boko Haram. I'm saying this and repeating this from someone else's viewpoint who have seen it. It is obvious. Their stated goal is in rejecting anything that is associated with Western and Christian values. Are you a Christian? Are you adopting Western values like democracy, equity, equality, meritocracy? Islam is all against that. Period. So find out whether you want to continue there or not. The decision is yours, but that decision, you must make it. The circumstances will force you to make that decision. It must happen. I'm telling you. You will choose whom you want to serve by force, whether God or Belial. Because some Christians are serving Belial, honestly. You know, the way they are so creepy and so treacherous, you know, silently, just silent in the face of trouble, using spirituality to deceive people in certain ways, not saying the truth. Yes, even the Bible says that judgment will start in the house of God. Yes, it will start there. To start there, because all these tricks will be thrown out. Yes, people might believe in God, but what is the purpose of what you're doing, preaching today? If you say in the name of Jesus, yeah, things will happen because Jesus has to defend his name. But you in your heart, what is your purpose? You're doing it to defend, collect money and all that. Then when it comes to standing up for the truth, where is the PFN? Where is the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria? Where are you people? Where are you people? Is it just only in contributing tithes that you're good at? You know, that's where you have the temerity to act, so they can build your church empire for you. Because that's all you do, empire. Empire in the name of God. Now it's time for you to stand in the name of God. You all dodge. Nobody's seeing you. Nobody's hearing from you. Nobody's hearing from you. You know, this reminds me because even in the Bible, there are a lot of false prophets in Israel. There are real ones like Elijah and Elisha. And when they spoke to the king, the people who had political authority, you know, because they told them that what they're doing is wrong openly. Today, where are those prophets? Where are you? So, PFN, what a shame. Khan is making a statement, even though it's tepid, but what a shame for PFN. Where are you? Where are you? I continue the quote. As he said here, the group's stated goal was to purify Islam in northern Nigeria and rejecting anything that is associated with Western or Christian values. They will reject. That's why you have this going on. The government is working with them. Danjuma said it, Obasanjo said it. These are Christians from the north and west who have held very important positions in governance of Nigeria, you know, and they are also historical actors in Nigeria. So they know Nigeria in and out. They have said that there is Fulanization and Islamization. It's obvious, you know. So every group knows it. That is why you must organize. I continue. It says, sadly, their brand of Islam is to target and kill Christians, bomb churches, hotels, to mention a few, and take Christian girls and women into captivity as sex slaves. Boko Haram has added the dangerous element to killing moderate Muslims who oppose their twisted Islamic ideology. You see, anytime there's an Islamic voice in dissent, they will kill him. That's Islam for you. Ask yourself whether this is a religion or a cult. Because cult will work by force. I'm telling you, that's the point. The difference between a religion and a cult is this. That a religion, you know, demands or sort of requests, not demand, requests your consent. That's so that even if you don't consent, that's it. It is your will, whether you will or not. That is what, but it's not, you must agree or we cut off your head. Is that a religion? That's a cult, not a religion. The group has, over the years, intensified its murderous activities by sacking many communities in Borno State, kidnapping particularly girls and women, forcing them to embrace Islam. See, they force them to embrace Islam and marrying them off to their members to give birth to monster children and hoisting its flag. This is very symbolic as it gives credence to its objective of establishing an Islamic State in Nigeria while denouncing the secular Nigerian state as corrupt and apostate. This is Reverend Gideon Paramalam of the Vanguard News of Sunday, August 23, 2020. He goes further to say, again, we have read and heard top and low military officers lamenting on social media over their inability to overpower the bloodthirsty Boko Haram and ISWAP, the Islamic State of West Africa. We have also learned of some soldiers that have abandoned their obligation to protect Nigerians, of course. We have also seen patriotic soldiers, policemen, humanitarian workers killed mercilessly. Nigeria is currently under the siege of Boko Haram and ISWAP. You see that? Those of you who are still hoping on Nigeria, and some of you in the Middle Belt, do you still hope Nigeria is going to be one? Do you still think it's going to be one? Do you still really think, you know, think about this. Think about this. And this is not a problem that started today because we're talking about Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa. It looks like it's today. The Fulani has been there 200 years ago. It started in that space, geographical space, 200 years ago. And what has the Fulani been doing other than conquest all the way to Kwara? All the way. How did Yorubas become Muslim? It's through conquest, Ibadan, Oshobo, Shagamu, all of them, all the way to Lagos. They were conquered by Muslims. It's about conquest. That's all they do. That is the prime doctrine of this religion. Those cults, sorry, not religion. Prime doctrine of this cult. And you see here it says, the Southern Kaduna crisis. Reverend Gideon Paramalam says something about Southern Kaduna crisis. I wonder why his last name is Malam. These are some of the influences of Islamization in the north, Paramalam, because I know the Malam has to do with Islamic faith, you know, Arabic word for either a teacher or something like that. But it could be coincidence, but of name. But the influence of that Islamic hegemony is felt all the way down to even Benue State. I mean, hence you have a place called Katsina Allah in Benue State. Katsina Allah. Can you imagine? So it's all the influences, hegemony, conquest. So he says something about Southern Kaduna. I'll read it. It says, firstly, the protracted crisis in Southern Kaduna has mostly been between indigenous ethnic nationalities who are predominantly Christians and the Hausa Fulani who are mostly Muslims. This incessant crisis has remote causes traceable to over 4 decades And ethnic nationalities are resisting what they clearly see as a cultural and religious intrusion to their beliefs and systems through political domination supported by the powers that be at both federal and state levels through the years, both historically and now. These visitors have lived for a long time in southern Kaduna and are now clearly hitting the polity, and the religious system is claiming to be owners of the land rather than as tenants. These differences eventually snowballed into ethno-religious violence that witnessed the first violence labeled the 1987 Kafanchan crisis, which was sparked from a crusade ground at the College of Education Kafanchan, and which later spread throughout the state, throughout the state. However, some may trace the ethno-religious crisis to the 1980 Kasua Magani riots. Prior to this period, there was a symbiotic relationship between the indigenous ethnic groups and the Hausa, the Fulani communities. Secondly, the crisis has religious connotation because whatsoever triggers conflict in the area, people garner support through their religious affiliation. So, note certain things he said. He says, prior to this period, there was symbiotic relationship between the indigenous ethnic groups and the Hausa and Fulani community. Now, you have, this is ignorance, really. You have being played out by Christians. When they are few in number, there is this so-called symbiotic relationship. You live together. But when they increase in number, they will attack you. That's Islam anyway. Watch Europe right now, what is happening. Once they increase in number, they feel they have the strength, they will attack you mercilessly. I'm telling you. That is what is going on. It's the same Islamic process and way of conquest and imperialism, because that's what it is, imperialism. That is even worse than imperialism, because in imperialism, for them from Europe, they govern you. They don't force you in terms of religion to follow. Yeah, they don't. Nobody kills you because of religion. Those ones, the imperialistic forces of Europe, were out mainly for economic gains, first and foremost. They are not too bothered about religious. The religious part of it came as an addendum, because they wanted to change certain cultures and to make those people amenable to their own culture, where you are able to get in line. But what way did they do it? By killing people? No, they actually had to build churches and begin to preach the gospel. And I want to say something regarding this, because in most cases there are criticisms regarding that, and is attached to Europeans. That Europeans are not the ones that found Christianity. They might have used it in a way that is wrong, but that doesn't mean the thing is wrong itself. Just because something is used wrongly, it does not mean it's wrong. You can use anything wrongly, use it to do something wrong, but it doesn't mean that thing is wrong itself. So, we can think about it in that way, yeah, because, face it, yeah, when the British came, let us bear everything. That is very important for us to know. Trust me, they had more advanced life than we did. That is why modern technological advancements are from the West, usually. Ancient was from Africa and Asia, but modern ones are from the West. It's obvious. And, we weren't doing chemistry and physics and biology in our schools. We didn't have that knowledge. They shared it, that knowledge. They built schools, and we went there, and we're using the knowledge that came from them. Let us be very frank about that. Let us not deny that truth. But neither does that justify colonization. It doesn't justify slavery. They are guilty for slavery. They are guilty for colonization, because they don't have a right actually to violate the people's land, the sovereign land of the people who are living peacefully on their own. You should have a respectful relationship with them. In other words, what they want to accept, they do. If they don't, you leave them. And it's because of colonization we are all forced to speak English, definitely. So, but they had a higher development and knowledge than us. That is a fact. They usually use that knowledge also to exploit us. But we gained by also learning it. So let us be very frank about issues and put them exactly the way they are, historically. I read further, Reverend Gideon Paramala. He says, thirdly, the current crisis has its roots in the outcome of 2011 presidential election results, which sparked an orgy of killings in mass proportion in both northern and southern Kaduna. It was never about herders, farmers, crop damage, and cattle rustling. Those have always been there. Somehow we had found traditional ways to settle them. Fourthly, the influx of foreign herders into southern Kaduna. In the fact, Middle Belt and Northwest has been a major cause of the crisis. The influx of foreign herders, their own people, their own fellow Fulani people from Niger, from Chad, from Mali, they invite them to come in. When they come in, they increase in number. And what happens? Crisis will start. That is what is going to happen in the western part of Nigeria, so-called Nigeria, and the east, where you see them now, they are in the bush. When they increase, already there's trouble already. They are killing and maiming anyways. So when they increase, it's just going to get worse. And I want to let our people to know that they must be uprooted from that land. Don't have any excuse for these people. They must be uprooted from that land if we're to have peace. If your children are to dwell in that land and dwell peacefully. Otherwise, I'm telling you, they will run them out of that place in time. Just look at their history. I'm not just talking. We're not just making, for talking's sake. Look at the history. It's the same thing. That's what they know how to do. They have been done this thing for centuries, that they are perfecting in ways, they are perfecting in knowledge of conquest. You understand what I mean? That is why they will seize the government. How did only Fulani seize the government? It's because they have learned ways and style of you use this one against the other. When you conquer the other, then you conquer the one you use, the person you used. That's it. Divide them and conquer them, and then you lose them, and can also use them for the next person. If he feel that the next place to conquer is very strong, you can match the two. That's why they're using Hausa people for most things that they do in Nigeria. We call the Hausa Fulani. They went and added Hausa Fulani there. We are one with them. You're one when you are putting Hausa in the lower caste, and you are the one who are the emirs. You are the one who are the governors. And so, what kind of nonsense is that? But you're one. So it is this. We have to understand the craftiness of people. Those people who are in our land, unless you uproot them out, they will have children there over coming decade. We already have them speaking fluent Igbo, isn't it? Speaking fluent language, wherever they are, Efik or Bibi or whatever, they'll be speaking it fluently, or Ijo, because they are born there and they grew up there. And when they spread, they'll claim the land. They will claim the land. The difference between you and them is that you don't go to their land and claim their land. No, you live peacefully with them. They don't live peacefully with you, and they will claim the land. That is historically proven, and they're doing it to this day. They are using government using water resources bill, Karma bill, to control the land and control the church and everything. That's how Muslims do. They want everything. They want you. They want to kill you because you're an infidel. They want to dominate you. They want to take over your life and your land. You must be subdued as an infidel. Even when you convert, they will subdue you because you are not in their lineage anyway. You live as just like Hausa. Look at Hausa people. They will jump up and want to die for Islam. But it's Fulani that's Islamized. They forget that they have a separate identity. So these are the problems we're talking about. So, if you're looking at what is going on now, you can understand how serious it is. It is very, very serious. I'll read further from Gideon Paramalam's speech, interview. He says, these foreign Fulani are wild, dangerous, and deadly. They're as deadly and as wild as the one in there, for your information. And I'm saying this now, because they say, oh, these foreign, like the ones who just came from outside are wild, but the ones that are inside are not wild. They're as wild as their brother. That is why they admit them. It's like people who you confront and say, and ask them, why is it that you support this Islamic action, this kind of it? They will pretend, oh, we are a good Muslim. What is the good Muslim doing to condemn the bad ones? They don't condemn them because the so-called bad ones are acting on their behalf. It's as simple as that. They're acting for the faith. They're acting for the faith. So just because they are not the ones who are acting in a terroristic manner doesn't mean that they are not in support. Because if they are not in support of what is going on, they'll have a problem with them. If those ones killing people, the ones who have been in Nigeria more before now, the other ones that migrated, if they are not in support of the ones that are killing, because the ones in Nigeria actually are killing anyway. But I'm saying that if those whom you think are peaceful, like we have some Fulani Muslim elite, some of them have been in the army and the military, and they're educated and so on. Look, you have Babangida. How many times have Babangida criticized Fulani people? How many times have Abdul Salami criticized Fulani? How many times have Shehu Shagari or any other criticized Fulani for the killing? They're short. You don't hear them. You don't hear a word. You don't hear a letter from them because they are, tacitly in support of what is going on. They're in support. In their hand, they're in support. They may not be the ones to come out and carry it. So when you talk about this, it's the problem is the Islamic ideology. And it remains. It remains. We went to the root cause of the problem. That's what RBI is telling you. The root cause of the problem is Islamic ideology. And if you don't deal with it, you keep talking about, there are bad ones, and the bad ones came and the good. This is just story. You're not being frank to yourself. You're not being honest. You're being dishonest. That's why I see some Christians are very dishonest. And it's this dishonesty that you find in them that makes them not to be organized, makes them not to stand up against this impending catastrophe, against this advance of organized conquest. That is the problem. They are not organized amongst themselves. They are not truthful amongst themselves. This is also part of the problem. Why after the crusade, it just took about 200 years and they lost Jerusalem. They lost Jerusalem. You left your faith to stand up for what is true, and you went pursuing other things, pursuing wealth and personal aggrandizement and all the rest of it. Once you keep thinking that way, I'm telling you, if you're a Christian, you're going to suffer for it, definitely. Why do you think what is happening to us is happening to us? Happening to us because we are the people who, once the person has money, he has a big church, you all run up, you all, this is pastor this time, he becomes a celebrity. You are celebrating wealth. That's what you're celebrating. You're not celebrating Christ. You're celebrating wealth, the wealth of the pastor. And where does that wealth come from, by the way? It was money contributed by people from the church, by you. So why should this pastor be bragging and driving his big car, jet, and all that? What kind of nonsense is that? And you tell me this is Christianity? This is rubbish, complete nonsense. No humility. They cannot ever get themselves, all these pastors, they can never get themselves to live a normal life. Bible says that godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world and we're taking nothing out. Google it. Godliness with contentment is great gain. If you just Google what I just said, you will see the quotation right there. Godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing in this life but to take. This is a verse that you never see these pastors quote. But it's biblical. It's in the Bible. They will never quote it. They will never quote it. It's all about what you gain here and there. Jesus Christ himself said, be careful about what is going on around. He says, for a man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possession. Our life does not consist in the abundance of possession. Why are these people acting as if our life consists in the abundance of possession? Drive this and drive that, and everybody's noisy everywhere about it. How big your church is, the kind of car you're driving. So we respect you because you're driving the latest version of car. Oh, well, my God blessed me, so I have to keep doing that rubbish. Keep doing that rubbish until Christ comes. I'm telling you, most of you will be bundled into hell that you belong to. So if I don't drive that big car, it doesn't mean I'm blessed. Please, do what Christ would do. Christ is God. When he came on earth, the Bible says that he wasn't even, he wasn't like princes who dressed in fine linen and so on and so forth. The church doesn't see that one. The one they will see is where they were sharing his clothes. in the cross. After the cross, they say, oh, well, the clothes was expensive. That's why. Criminals everywhere. Criminals. This, you are criminalizing Christian. That's what your Christian practice. That is what it is. It has nothing to do with Christianity. It is your own vanity that is driving you. Nothing prevents you from. Not that I'm against wealth. It is what you do with the wealth that is the question. That is what the Bible is actually about. It's not me, because what I think is really inconsequential towards you. But it is what do you put that thing into? Because that's what the Bible is. What is in your heart? What is motivating you to do that? Are you telling me that it's not okay? You say, oh, well, it's not because of the wealth or something. But, every day people will praise you about it. You say, yes. You keep taking all those praises. You don't act like it's actually not this jet that is, is not affecting you, or that your latest car that costs so much, even though your members are living in poverty and, all kinds of things. You don't distribute the money to people who are poor and help them in different ways, give them new ideas, how to. No, you just pocket the whole thing, and tell them that God will be. Yeah, they pray to God. God helps them because they are talking to God, they're praying to God. It doesn't, take that credit. It is not you. You are not the one doing it. So this is the type of church we've had. The church that is simply very insincere. They are not content anymore with whether godliness with contentment is great gain. That verse does not exist in the Bible book. So this is why these Fulani people are attacking us, because of insincerity towards God. It says here, these foreign Fulani and the wild, dangerous, and deadly, but they could not have succeeded without the support of local Fulani who showed them the way to the settlements of ethnic nationality, peoples of Southern Kaduna, exactly what I said. To further compound this complex web of animosity, criminal elements among the Fulani ventured into kidnapping, and now are making more money from kidnapping and armed robbery than cattle rearing. You see, they went into kidnapping and this thing, more money coming into their pockets. They're very greedy people. And then people will come up and say, Igbo people love money. Igbo people love money. The same propaganda, like I said, most of that propaganda was coming from the Southwest in the 40s and 50s than any other. Now, the ones that ratcheted up, they're still propaganda now. But now we're answering them back. How can you, be trying to give a dog a bad name and not to hang it? That will not happen anymore. Not in this age of communication, communication and information technology. It's never going to happen because you will be exposed and people will see it and know. So they are kidnapping and for ransom, for money. Nobody says that Fulani people love money. Where are the people who like to talk about Igbo who goes to work hard for his money and will give more to help people than other people? No, it is the Igbo man who loves money. Fulani doesn't. Who stole the oil blocks in Nigeria? Is it not Fulani? And mostly Muslims own it. 83% of them from the north, most of them Muslims. So why don't you? They hate money. These are the ones that love money. So you see, these sort of narratives are and social narratives is what is distorting the Nigerian mind and making a misrepresentation of the reality of the situation in that land. Now I go further. It says, sadly, the government failed woefully in arresting the intrusion of these foreign Fulani attackers. The government failed because the government is working with them. It's a Fulani government. Ironically, these are the group of Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasser El-Rufai said he had to pay to settle them because some of their people were killed in southern Kaduna during the 2011 election violence. You see? Public money, Nigerian government money, El-Rufai will take it and pay terrorists. He's not talking about arresting them. And this man has the guts to still come out there and being interviewed in all these news stations in Nigeria. That place is like hell to me, honestly. And some of these journalists, you look at them as very devilish people. Well, this is a man who will take public money and finance terrorists. He comes to your studio. You don't even ask him the question. You don't even ask them questions. They pat them on the back. It's terrible what you see going on there. People who refuse the truth. What do you think? Darkness will enshroud the whole place. And he says here that El-Rufai said he had to pay to settle them because some of their people were killed in Southern Kaduna during 2011 election violence. Yet the attacks on innocent people of Southern Kaduna have continued unabated. Now, in other words, he's saying, even though he paid them, why is the attacks continuing? Because you're under conquest. Islamic attack is not going to solve. This is Reverend Gideon Paramalam, Vanguard News of Sunday, August 23, 2020. There's also another quote, because this man made a lot of revelations in his comments, and that's why I'm sharing it with those who may not have come across it in the newspapers. He said again, and I quote, "The political structure of Nigeria is one that is fraught with controversies. The structure pits the North against the South and the Muslims against Christians. A critical look at the political landscape suggests an obvious neglect of Southern region and Christians in powerful and influential top government positions." You see that? This doesn't reflect the reality of a Nigerian heterogeneous state. Nigeria is a multicultural, multi-religious, and multi-ethnic nation. Now, when they keep saying this, you wonder, you are still asking yourself, does this reverend still believe that there is Nigeria? You see? I go on. He says, this fact is not reflected in governance. The consequent effect of this is the surge in agitation in the country for a more inclusive government. While extreme calls have been seen with a call to a Biafra state and Oduduwa Republic secessionist agenda. Unless well managed, these could have too dire a consequence on us as a nation. Why are you calling the call for Biafra and Oduduwa extreme? Well, you see the language they use? Extreme calls. But them that are killing people are not extreme. That extreme, I don't like it as a qualifying adjective for the cause. They are rightful call. There's nothing wrong with a call to be free. These are fundamental human and people's rights enshrined in the UN and in the AU, African Union Charter of People's Human and People's Rights. That is what the basis for calling for a new nation of your own. It's a sovereign people. Look, the British didn't create us. The British didn't create any of those nationalities in Nigeria. Nigeria did not create us. It is foreigners that came and created them. Let us understand this very clearly. And another foreigner, the foreign group, which is the Fulani people, are coming and taking over the land. They are foreigners. Call them what they are. The continued insecurity in the nation has triggered calls for restructuring. Regrettably, the submission of the 2014 National Conference on Community Policing has been met with stiff opposition. You see, 2004 National Conference submission is going to have met with stiff opposition. They meet with opposition because if you create that security, it will protect you. Why does the Southeast not have its own regional security, as the North Southwest has? Amotekun. Because they are putting pressure on our irresponsible governors. Our governors and senators and House of Rep members, they are irresponsible. They are reprobates, honestly. There is nothing to respect about those people. Omahi and Obiano and Okezie, and so they are simply there because of the money, public funds that they are getting. That's all. That's all. Public funds, which you divert to private pockets. They are very disgraceful as a people. They are not leaders. They will go down in history that way. That's what they will. Because some of them are doing this thing. They don't know that one day you will be out of that. You will be out of that place one day. And you will see what will be said about you as the past ones. They have records of the past ones. These are the people who are disgraced to Ebola. How can you be there and you cannot set up that regional security? Umahi is the head of the governor's security of the governors group of Southeastern governors. Yes, he's the head of them. And what is happening? Fulani is on him. IG of police, Adamu, that Fulani criminal, is always there, telling him, giving, sending him the message from his fellow jihadists in Kaduna. That's, you have to set up community police, not a collective regional police. Because if you said that it's not police, then we can defend ourselves. So they want to keep us open to attack all the time. This is how wicked some of our governors are. And they are promising them, you'll be deputy president, you'll be vice president, you'll be in the Senate after this, and so on and so forth. You can see how this is what is called idolatry. What idolatry does to you. When, because of what you want, your appetite for positions and public money and so on and so forth, you just disregard the truth. You will pay for it. The truth makes everybody pay. The truth made the devil himself to pay. And then you think he won't make you pay. Who are you? Continue what you're doing. The time will come, you will go down in ignominy. You will go down in infamy as criminals that were found in positions of power in Biafra land. That's what you go down with, all of you. Over-centralization of police is not a true reflection of federalism. I'm reading on. Over-centralization of police is not a true reflection of federalism. Why are they centralizing it? The Fulani wants to centralize so it can control security everywhere. And what is controlling security? Controlling security means to keep you open to attacks by their Fulani jihadists. Because that's why they respond late to any attack. Some places in the north, they will slaughter and keep people for the whole day before the police shows up. Or the army. The same thing they're doing with Boko Haram, where they will send Christian soldiers, deny them proper arms and ammunition, and lead them into ambush, and they are massacred. These people are evil. They are evil. Islam is evil, because that is what is producing this rubbish in the minds of these people. They are human beings, all right, but their human being can be a devil by the way he acts. You see that? I go on. He says, government's handling of security issues makes one question the sincerity of this government. The war storm in southern Kaduna has attracted global attention on the plight of innocent civilians, particularly Christian communities that have been subjected to inhuman treatment, as many innocent women and children are hacked to death, ultimately. Hacked to death. Can you imagine? They hack people, they use the knife on somebody's body, cut off his head, cut off his body. There's one you see, they cut the man alive. It only takes a Fulani to do that. An animal, like a Fulani man, to do that. It takes, subhumans, like some of these Islamic radicals, to do that. They act that's what that religion makes you do. It makes you act like something that is less than an animal. That's what it makes you. You think it's intimidation? Wait. When you get the response from Christians, you will see fear. And when you start beating them, you see them running and shouting, oh, they are persecuting. When that time comes, the Christians will not listen to you. There will be no you. If you want to, because you are converting the rest of us into animals too. The animal in us to come out. That's what you're calling for. When you have a poor human being and you cut off his head. And you think you have the monopoly of violence. Keep your provocation on until you get the response. Okay, he talks about marginalization of Christians, and I'd like you to listen because this is an authority, a reverend gentleman from the north, from the Middle Belt. He says here, it is significant to define the north in Nigeria. The majority of the people in the south is south-south and southwest. The north is one. This is not true. Neither the south nor north is heterogeneous. The north is not monolithic. The North is neither a single religious nor one political entity. The North has never been one. The North, like the rest of Nigeria, is multi-ethnic and multi-religious and multicultural. I agree with him. It was the British that called all of them North. And when the people in the Middle Belt wanted to have their own region in 1964, after the Midwest was created in 1963, They'll not send Tafawa Balewa and Amadu Bello send soldiers to go and kill them. They massacred over 3,000 of them. Can you imagine? These were part of the problems. This happened in 1964. This is part of the problem that caused the January 1966 coup. Nobody mentions that. Nigerians pretend that they don't see that. That is why when you listen to some of their journalists, look, you puke. You puke. They refuse to look at the truth regarding matters. How can a people like this come out of darkness? It's difficult for them to come out of that. They are going in further into it. It says here, the Middle Belt is not just a name, an idea, or a concept. It is a reality. The challenges of poverty, illiteracy, and Islamic ideological radicalization are old and new demons afflicting the North. Over a population. Remember, it says there are old and new demons. It has been always afflicting the peoples of the North, Middle. There are 40% of Borno State are Christians. 40% of Borno, that is that place that Boko Haram is operating. And there was a time the Sultan swore that they would do everything to move out Christians. They've destroyed more than 1,300 churches in the past decade or past 2 decades or so. Can you imagine that? The past 2 decades, more than 1,300 churches destroyed. And we don't count the number of the casualty of the number of Christians that killed. And everybody just quiet like that, like nothing happened. They're intimidating governors, doing all kinds of things, bribing them, they use different strategies all at once to be pushing their Islamization. That's what's going on right now. That's why your governors cannot stand up against them now, even to unite against them. And part of the greater problem of that is because they know that their societies are weak, their people are weak, their people cannot stand up. Let me tell you the truth. If the governors are afraid of them, but they're not afraid of you. If the governors can be afraid of you, I'm telling you, they will stand against them. They'll tell them, no, I don't want my people to cover up my head. So I'm standing up against all this nonsense. But because they know we are docile people, we just take everything for granted. Give excuses why not to act. From one excuse to the other. Keep giving excuse. Oh, you don't want to cause trouble now. Oh, yeah. They are listening to those excuses. That's why they're coming. By the time you react, I'm telling you, half your family is gone. And then that way you ask yourself whether you took the right decision or not. What type of nonsense is this? We ought to change the way we do things. We should. Overpopulation, where birth control has been thrown overboard, especially in the Muslim community, is a real danger which stares us all in the face. The marginalization of Christians is commonplace in the far north. The systemic persecution of Christians is historical. The sustained physical violence and attacks on Christians has been on for nearly 4 decades now. Nearly 4 decades. That's what Reverend Gideon Paramalam is saying. Nearly 4 decades. Boko Haram and ISWAP have come with vicious venom. ISWAP targets mostly only Christians, while Boko Haram targets Christians and Muslims who oppose them. Christians do not get to occupy high positions, that is. In fact, it is offered to them more as tokenism. In the far north, virtually all key government positions are occupied by Muslims. There is manipulation and intimidation of Christians in the Middle Belt by powerful Muslim leaders. Many Christian girls, especially the Maguzawas, usually get kidnapped and converted to Islam. There are today 2 forms of attacks on Christians: physical attacks and non-physical violent attacks. Many Christian girls are losing their virginity through rape or forced sex by herdsmen, kidnappers, and Boko Haram terrorists. This is in line with Muhammad's so-called prophet, that criminal they call Prophet Muhammad. That is what, in line with his behavior, because that's the one they're emulating now. He's the example. That is why they will rape and kill and kidnap. And you have some people who are Muslims who think they have their senses intact and they want to defend this cult that calls itself a religion. There's no defense for this rubbish. No defense whatsoever for anybody who has conscience, anybody whose brain is intact. Like what I said, for you to practice Islam, you have to be partly mad to practice this thing. Honestly. So in a sense here, it says, there are also forced marriages on Maguzawa girls and women by a tyrannical majority. So we can see this. The kidnapping and they convert forcefully to Islam. Anybody who has to convert you forcefully to believe in something, know that that thing is from the pit of hell. Because if it was a good thing, he'll offer it to you peacefully. And you will have the right of choice to either choose to believe in it or not. But anything is offered to you by force in terms of belief, know that that thing is from the pit of hell. Why should you offer belief to me? That's why you call it belief. That means I have to believe now or not believe. To believe is a conscious wish. Now you have to force me to do it. What makes that thing legitimate? It just really delegitimizes that idea that's being presented. It delegitimizes in terms of it being right or coming from the right source. No, it cannot, because you are applying coercion here. You are applying fear. You are applying intimidation. That is what points to how wrong that belief is. Simple. For those of you who are still don't know anything about Islam, go and Google it. This is the age of Google, and you see how people who have they refuse to do so. They are listening to social issues like that is Google the things that matter that affect. Because let me tell you the truth, most of the people in the Islamic world are held by force. Any day they will tell the people followers of Islam, they tell them, look, you become a Muslim if you choose to. They give them that option of choice to choose to be a Muslim or not. I'm telling you, 70% of them will leave this thing within a decade. They will leave that religion. It will collapse. So what you see is that they're holding them by force. That's why you have to be intimidated. The penalty for apostasy to leave the religion is death. Why? Because they want to hold you by force, by duress. So most of the followers of Islam are there on duress. Look at the girls they kidnap. Paramalam is mentioning that they kidnap them and they force them to convert, obviously. So it's a force. Tomorrow you meet her, she's acting, you don't know why. It's because she's been forced to be there. How is this reasonable? How in the world is this reasonable? Mazi Chuks Ikediwe, are you there? I need you to comment a little bit on what we are going through regarding Islam. And we will be coming to a close shortly from here.
Okay, Islam has really been a big thorn on the flesh of our people. There's nothing Islam has not done to our people. Whatever was left of the harm that the British colonies did to us, Islam has come to do complete it. In fact, the greatest harm that's befallen our people is the British colonies and Islam. Islam has never been good to our people. He has impoverished us, killed our people mercilessly, tagged the Biafrans as terrorists, raped our women, killed our men, poisoned our waters, spoiled our food, robbed us, extorted us, did all manner of things, denied us our rights and privileges. Because we discovered that even the Nigerian constitution is tented towards Islam, is everything. Is Islam engraved in it to protect Islam? Islam is mentioned there, but no Christianity. And then they're working at it. It's all about the Islamization agenda. And I keep telling our people that there's any book that's not so much evil to us is that constitution. And you must also understand that everything about Islam is loaded in it. So I want our people to understand this. The greatest harm that before our people remains the British colonists coming to our land to change us. Just like where you read, you discover that the Britain maintained the monolithic north. They came here to set up minority commissions in order to spoil, in order to do this. And that's exactly what Islam is doing to us, because Islam coached the British, this before they left, they coached Islam on how to conquer this people, and that's what they are coming to do in us now, coming to use our people against us. When it suits them, they tell the Agbo man that's Igbo. When it suits them, they tell you are not Igbo. There's only people from across the Niger that are Igbo, and then they keep dividing our people. And our people are not really sensitive to these criminal lies that they are telling them. And most of them came to believe them. Okay, most of them fall for those lies. Tomorrow they tell you are from Benin Empire, you came from the Benin, this thing. Our people, and then they perfected the art by stopping the teaching of history in school. And because of it, our people don't even know history. They don't even know where they're coming from. And this is like, if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't even know where you are going to. So those are really embedded in it. And that's why I'm praying that Biafra should come as fast as so that we can go teach history, I mean, make history a top priority so that people can know where they're coming from, know our culture, know everything about us. Know that we are one. Know that the North is not monolithic as they will make us believe, because the middle belters are not Northerners, as the case may be. It's only that when they get to the National Assembly, you want them to speak up, but most of the time, most of their they don't really, they end up getting swallowed by the North.
They're intimidated.
They intimidate them to support them. And if you do not play according to their rule, next time they must make sure that they do not vote you in. They'll use your people against you, and you won't get return. That's why most of people keep playing that game, because of the intimidation. It happens all over. This has really done harm to us. And those harm will only end when we wake up, understand where we are, understand where we are coming from, understand that there's no way Biafrans can be tagged terrorists, and then the murderers, Fulani herdsmen, are treated with so much passion, with so much compassion. I begin to wonder what is happening. They tag them repentant terrorists, buy vehicles for them, take them abroad for trainings, give them the best of education, send them back, and then they end up going back to continue where they are, because it's a game plan. It's recycling of this mentality. People must understand this thing. So we must know where our problem started. Started with the British coming in, teaching the Northerners and Islam how to deal with us. But our destiny lies in our hands. We are the only one that can stop it, and we only stop it by knowing about it, talking about it, and that's what exactly RBI is doing. Because if you talk about it, it's a faith comment by hearing, okay? And that's important that we talk about it, because the more you hear about it, the more you begin to understand what is happening. I mean, if you understand what's happening, you are bound to tell one or two people who do not understand, and they want to understand. And once all of us understand, we're able to checkmate these people. You cannot, if you fail to protect people, people must be able to protect themselves. You are telling us we can't even form our own security services to protect ourselves, that we must be under you. It's just like asking the hawk to guide the chicken. There's no way it can happen. The hawk will definitely eat the chicken. So asking us to be under you who have failed to protect us in the first place, just like we're submitting ourselves to be killed again. Exactly. And that's why our traditional and political leaders have to wake up. You have to speak out. You have to do what is necessary so that we can stop this killing. If we do not stop it today, I wonder why our children who did not learn history where it started will be able to stop it. So everything beckons on our generation, and we must do things necessary to stop it. Thank you. I'm still here.
Thank you so much, Chuks Kedigo, for that. You heard what Chuks Kedigo said. It's very important that we understand. You cannot give your protection to somebody else who cannot protect you. Somebody, your enemy. Because that's what the Nigerian government is. So our enemy is hijacked by the Fulani and Muslims, and they're using the government to kill us. And you are talking about police. That police is a danger, is an enemy. That military man is an enemy. I'm telling you. You have the right to protect us. I keep saying it. Look, people create countries and create laws. So the country is for the people, not the people for the country. The law is for the people, not the people for the law. So stop telling people, oh yeah, the law, which law? They're unjust law. What law gives anybody the right to go and kill somebody who is unarmed? What type of law is that? That law cannot be obeyed, and we are not going to support anybody obeying it. Period. Don't tell people to simply obey a law that is as evil. We're talking about constitution. So-called constitution is forgery. Why should we obey it and say that that constitution is undone? We reject that constitution. That is what we do as a people. We stand up and say, no, we reject that constitution. We cannot function under that constitution. Period. Where are the lawyers and legal luminaries? What are they doing? They still come to court and quote the same forged document. That's what you're quoting. That's what you're quoting. You know, people should understand that, look, what makes you a successful man or an achiever is not simply by you went to school and studied some. Stand for the truth. That is what makes it. You can read 20 degrees. Good. All well and good. But if you stand for the lie, those things you read cannot be useful to you. It still makes you a liar and a thief, and you lose your dignity and integrity. Why do you ever stand for what is evil, like that constitution, Islamic constitution that they are drawing up for us in Nigeria? Why ever do you have to support or stand for it? It is terrible, and you wonder what is it that motivates us to do something like this. The Islamization of Nigeria is not a story somewhere. It is not something that is unfounded. It is not simply a mere speculation. It has been examined and found to be true. That is why herdsmen have killed 10,665 people in 2018. By 2018, can you imagine? We're not talking about this. Is from the French Institute of Research in Africa, FRA. And this was published in June 18, 2019. That is why Boko Haram has destroyed 1,300 churches, about 1,500 schools destroyed. And this is by the Stephanus Foundation. This was published in Vanguard News of Thursday, September 22nd, 2016. That is 4 years ago. If you add the ones that they're destroyed by now, only God knows what it is. Now, let me read a little bit of it here so you can understand. It says that over 14 million Nigerians are directly affected by humanitarian crisis in the Northeast. This is 2016. The Northeast region of the country, 2 international humanitarian groups have reported Boko Haram, the 21st Century Wilberforce Initiative from the United States, and the Stephanus Foundation based in Nigeria, gave the figure on Monday in Abuja, addressing journalists during a program organized to highlight challenges of terror victims in the country. Mark Lipto, executive director of the Stephanus Foundation, said a research conducted by the groups revealed the figure. 14.8 million Nigerians from Northeast are directly impacted by the crisis. Officially, there are 2.2 million internally displaced persons, IDPs. Unofficially, there are 5 to 7 million IDPs. Those in need of special assistance are 2.5 million, comprising children under the age of 5, pregnant women and nursing mothers, he said. Mr. Lipto said the menace of terrorism has had a wide range of casualties, which he listed to include 611 teachers who died as a result of terrorism in the Northeast, 19,000 teachers displaced, 1,500 schools closed down, and around 50,000 children denied the opportunity of accessing education. Others include 13,000 churches abandoned, closed down, or destroyed, 2,000 children abducted, 10,000 boys forced to join Boko Haram. Global Terrorism Index shows that Boko Haram is the world's most lethal terrorist group, followed by ISIS, while Al-Qaeda ranks 3rd, and the Fulani militants, mostly in the middle belt, rank 4th. You see, Global Terrorism Index. But somebody's telling you that Fulani people are in Fulani militants and Fulani Mietiala is in his government. The president is a patron of a terrorist organization. That place is hell on earth. That place called Nigeria is worse than hell. It says Vice President of the 21st Wilberforce Initiative, Elijah Brown, added that in December 2015, the number of IDPs scattered around Nigeria alone were more than 2 million. As of December 2015, there were 152,000 entirely displaced persons in Nigeria. The third highest figure in Africa, and the seventh in the world. This is from Vanguard News of Thursday, September 27, 2016. So why I'm quoting this is from, so I can give you quotes from independent sources, foreign sources. Because if it's us, or some people say, oh, well, they're playing politics, oh, well, they're ratcheting up numbers, that there is no authenticity to those figures. So you can always investigate this yourself. And these are because they are humanitarian bodies who are sent in there from foreign land because of the crisis situation in those regions. There are a lot of refugees, millions of refugees, can you believe that? They're in Benue State, they're in Nazarawa, they're in other places. And still the government goes there to bomb them, the foreign government, and then they take advantage of them, rape some of them, take their girls into slavery and slave them out, force them to be Muslims, and do all kinds of things unimaginable. Deny them the immediate humanitarian aid and relief materials that they need to survive. So we have seen this repeatedly, and this is all in line with Islamic Jihad. Remember that Ahmadu Bello said, and it was published in the Paro magazine on Wednesday, October 12, 1960, where he says, "This nation called Nigeria shall be an estate to us from our great-grandfather, Usman Dan Fodio. We shall vigorously resist the change of power. We shall manipulate the minorities of the North, and we shall regard the South as a conquered territory." This was said by Ahmadu Bello, who was the Sultan of Sokoto, and it was published in Paro magazine on Wednesday, October 12, 1960. Even as at then, this is before the Civil War. For those who are still acting blind, and all these things are happening, journalists don't talk about it in Nigeria. They prefer to talk about something else, something social, something less, But this is the traumatic issues that are happening there, that they refuse. The journalists look the other way over because they're all scared. If you're going to live in a country where you're scared of a group, what sort of country is that? Is that what you want for your life? Is that the type of life you want to live? What type of life you want your children to live? Because of oil. This oil is going to deplete in terms of its value, is going to dwindle in the next decade or two, and then I will see what you'll do, whether you eat yourselves up there. So, I have another quote in 1964. This is by Malam Bala Garoba, and it was quoted in West African Pilot. It says, quote, "The conquest of the sea to the sea is now in sight. When our God sent Ahmadu Bello said some years ago that our conquest will reach the seashores of Nigeria. Some idiots in the South were doubting its possibility." You see how they see the people in the South? Idiots in the South. Today, have we not reached the sea? When he said idiots, some of you will talk about hate speech and all the rest of them. You don't ascribe hate speech to them. It is only those that are being oppressed that you ascribe hate speech. And what is hate speech? When somebody is complaining that somebody is oppressing him. If he calls me an idiot, he was worse than that. Why should he oppress him in the first place? You have a problem with that. You don't have a problem with the oppressor. Something is wrong with some of our mindset. Today, have we not reached the sea? I'm still quoting this guy. Lagos is reached, remains Port Harcourt. It must be conquered and taken after December 30, 1967. So the jihad issue is not today that they started now. Like I said, 200 years ago when they came, they conquered Yoruba land. They took Ilorin, imposed an area there. Oyo, Ibadan. These are Muslim areas. Oshobo, they conquered Yoruba people. Then they moved to the west, to the other side. The middle belt, it get difficult. They fought and fought. They're still fighting till today. But they are taking lands there still. The Fulani are taking lands, settling his people, bringing people from other countries, other Fulani from other countries to come and settle in those lands. So we cannot just say, well, we didn't see this coming. We can't say we are blind to it. It is very obvious. And we have to continue to raise it in discussions when you're relaxed with your friends, raise it with your family, raise it with your town union group, raise it with your social group that you belong in. Raise these issues because these are the ones that matter. The issue of Islamization, Islamic conquest. Because I'm telling you, it is the number one monster, the 600-pound elephant in the room anytime you are meet together. regarding this contraption that they call Nigeria. It will affect it seriously. So there is no point trying to evade that. It cannot be evaded. The Islamization process is on. Let me give you another quote that took place in 2002. And it's actually on YouTube. It was about Sharia law in Nigeria. It was posted by Journeyman Pictures. This was on January 6, 2018. The question they asked the governor of Zamfara, they said, do you think Nigeria should become a Sharia nation? You know the response of Governor Sani Yerima, the governor of Zamfara said, he says, quote, that is my ambition, and that is the ambition of every Muslim in this country. This was by Governor Ahmed Sani Yerima of Zamfara State. He was governor 1999 to 2007. This is when Obasanjo came in, speaking after being the first state to institute Sharia law as a state criminal code. 19 northern states soon became Sharia operating states. So he said that is the ambition. What else do Christians there want? What do the Christians in Middle Belt? What do you expect? You expect these people to still not be attacking you? You expect to live at peace with them? That is not an expectation that is reasonable. Because like I said, it would take somebody who is very unreasonable to practice Islam. Because if you're reasonable, you can practice what is unreasonable. I'm telling you, where you have to pronounce everybody else dead because they believe something else other than what you believe in. And then you take young girls and go and sleep with them, impregnate them, force them to be. What type of behavior is that? Animalistic behavior. It's only an animal that moves or based on instincts of without reason, simply of hunger and sex and security. That's all. You cannot reason above that. So anything that is not on my side, I kill it. It's not an animal behavior. So it's not name calling when people say they're acting worse than animals. They're acting like animals. It's as simple as that. It's not name calling. They are acting based on their appetite, sexual appetite, and if this person doesn't belong on my side, he should die. That's it. That's animal for you now, right there. A Christian or a human being will reason and say, okay, why does this person feel pain? Like you put himself in the position of that person. And imagine if he's the one that is done that same thing you will do to the person. That's it. They have no capability of imagining it for themselves. That is why they act in the way they do. And when you check very well, you find out that there has been a lot of intimidation. Like I said, it's part of Islam. There are certain things I want to share too to our listeners. It says here, and this is some quotes from publication by Femi Fanikaya, the Daily Post of Sunday, June 25th, 2017. This is very, very important. He says, what is going on in Nigeria? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when Christian religious knowledge is removed from the curriculum and Islamic Arabic studies is made compulsory? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when Christians are banned by law from buying land to build churches in most parts of the corner? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when Christians, how can anybody describe Nigeria as being free when every single security and intelligence agency in the nation, except for the Navy, is headed by a northern Muslim? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when there are no Christian commanders, that is to say, those that have operational control over troop deployment, in charge of strategic commands in the Nigerian army today? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when all the strategic commands in the Nigerian army are in the hands of Muslims? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when all the units under the education ministry are headed by northern Muslims and the minister for education himself is a Muslim? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when the words Christ, church, Christianity, or Christians are not mentioned once, not even once in the constitution? And when the word Sharia is mentioned 73 times, Grand Qadi 54 times, Islam 29 times, and Muslims 10 times. How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free? Since Buhari came to power, any mention of Jesus or God is censored out of Nigerian films by the Nigerian Censors Board, which whilst the word Allah is mentioned freely. Can you imagine? They even went into Nollywood to censor the mention the name Christ. This is Antichrist that we're looking at here. Antichrist, we see that. But Antichrist will be defeated by Christ, definitely. How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when there was an attempt by President Muhammad Buhari to quietly pass a law that will give large tracts of land to Fulani herdsmen in every state of the federation so that they can infiltrate, settle down in, breed with, and eventually overwhelm and take over all the communities in which they are given that land? And this is why you're seeing those water resources bill. And of course, you see the Kama, that the one that is against the church. How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when the federal government refused to arrest the elderly Professor Ango Abdullahi and the rebellious, recalcitrant, blood-baying, bloodthirsty Arewa youth and lock them all up for their implicit threat to commit genocide against the Igbo if they don't leave the north by 1st October? That was in 2017. How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when the Arewa youths can send an open letter to the acting president describing the entire Igbo race as ingrate, who have not learned their lessons from the past and who ought to be thrown out of the north and out of Nigeria? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when the Northern Youth Leaders Forum can tell the federal government that Nigeria will boil, that there will be a crisis that will spiral beyond control if the Arewa youths are arrested, that the presidency will not be allowed to go to the south under any circumstance in 2019? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when well-armed Fulani militants and herdsmen commit genocide against whole communities, and yet no one of them has been arrested? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when cows, yes, cows, drive children out of their classrooms in Edo State and drive worshippers out of their churches in Benue State? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when the welfare of cows and the interests of cattle rearers are more important than that of the hardworking and productive patriots and innocent young school children? Like I said, those cows are simply a pretext for conquest. So people talk about, oh, they know they can put them in ranches, but they're not going to do it. They are using it as pretext for conquest. That's why they come and they look for your trouble, because they want to look for your trouble so they can attack you. That's what is going on. And people will have to rise to resist that. If you don't, you know what will happen anyway. How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when, since Buhari came to power, it is very difficult for a northern Christian to get admission into Ahmadu Bello University, the leading institution of higher learning in northern Nigeria? How can anybody define Nigeria as being free when there is a strange Arabic insignia, unintelligible Arabic word apparently depicting Ottoman Danfodio's battle cry inscribed on the coat of arms of the Nigerian army? See, they've taken over the army. These are signs of that. They are taking over. How can anybody describe Nigeria as being free when English is replaced with Hausa in Nigerian army parades? Now they're speaking Hausa in Nigerian army parade. How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free from President Muhammad Buhari openly expressed his disdain for the Igbo and encourages the hate speech and threats that they are being subjected to today? How can anyone describe Nigeria as being free when acting President Yemi Osinbajo will allege that there is corruption in the church, but dare not allege that there is corruption in the mosque? This was by Femi Fanisai, the Daily Post of Sunday, June 25, 2017. He was able to point out so many of these problems and will remind you of what it is, so that nobody will say, well, we didn't hear. That the whole thing is out there. But we encourage you to stand straight, stand up, and do something about it. Do not sit on your home doing nothing about your own security. For you not to care about your security, what does that say about you? Because that security is prime issue regarding your own life. Without securing your life, that's it. You throw it away. And we cannot watch danger as it continues to encircle us, and then we keep quiet. And then we just don't do anything. That's why I say get active. Join a Biafran organization. You don't know, you can join BRN. You can join any other Biafran organization. You can also join your town union. Make sure you're active on town union. And make sure, like I said, these issues are raised in your town union meeting, so that you begin to work towards your own security as a people. That is very, very cardinal. I'd like to bring Mazi Ahmefula Okando to speak to us this morning on the constant barrage of Islamic onslaught on Nigeria, led by the hegemonistic Fulani people. Their violation of the indigenous peoples of the land, their rights, violation of their sovereignty. We have to do everything possible to resist that. That's what we're doing in Arabia. Maazị Hameflu can if there at the short of my voice. I would like to hear our veteran. Thank you so much. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm very pleased to hear your voice this morning as well. And I'm glad we have our panel ready for discussion. This topic that is being talked about is Islamization agenda. It is so deep that we have to be very, very cautious. And I'm very glad that RBI has decided to take this section of Biafran agitation to be its main focus. Other operational areas could be doing their own thing. Like we say in RBI, we are very open to discussion. It's a radio station that is not biased. It's a radio station that is made up of men of integrity who research whatever they want to say and go check it out, and you find out that it is true. We just don't make statements. We discuss or we say what we have done after it has been done. We don't project and say we are going to do this. Like what you guys have been hearing about what happened in MNA and so on. You tell boys, go do this and so on without adequate provisions. Just let them and send them to their death. We don't do that in Radio Biafra International. This topic is the main topic that has kept Nigeria, the Islamization and Fulanization agenda. That's what has kept Nigeria the way it is. And I want you all to understand that this same topic we have talked about it for more than 5 years, since even when Nnamdi Kanu, I was Rick started talking about this. Men of integrity within this group, as they sediment, decided and they found out that the main thing is what Islamization is agenda is all about. And it has to be understood by everybody. And because the Fulanese and the British, they know that is the core thing that is really holding Nigeria down. So they don't want it to be discussed. Whenever you want to discuss it, they want to say, oh no, that it's a hate speech and so on and so on. But you have to, every Nigerian, especially the Christian churches, the pastors have to go and research this Islamization agenda, read it and understand it, and see its application to what is going on in Nigeria today. Emmanuel Boson, he talked about Islamization agenda, but the Abuja in the form of the Abuja Declaration of 1989. I want us to pay attention to his presentation. It is at the core, that is a subset of the Islamization agenda. He portrayed it very clearly. So what I will advise RBI, what we are going to be doing, whatever churches you are going to go, try to have this, and it's already in the Google it, you'll find out, and ask your pastors to listen to it uninterrupted, and from whatever they have had, let them convince themselves that it is necessary for each of their congregation to listen to that Abuja Declaration of 1989. It is very, very important. We have reached the stage of the Biafran agitation that it is no more talking big, shouting and so on. We have to re-educate our people because our people were not educated. And that is why people like Senator Ojus Carlo and Akpabio and all the other people from Imo State, the Imo State governor, the Supreme Court governor of Imo State. That is why they were converting to Islamism without even knowing what it is all about. Because if they have known the history of the Islamization agenda, the Fulanization agenda, if they have known it and they have conscience, there is no way they will convert to Christianity, convert from Christianity to become Muslims. It could have been very, very untenable. It is because they were not educated. And the whole thing had its truth on the fact that Nigerian government decided to remove history in the curriculum of Nigerian schools. What a shame. That is the worst of cases of hate speech. That they did it because they had the power. What we are doing in Radio Biafra International is to inform our people, to educate people, to enlighten them and bring out the tenets of what Islamization agenda is, so that every child from elementary school, even kindergarten, has to know, every child has to know what has been our plight. Today, the Muslims have decided to infuse the South, especially with the Fulanese, whose agenda is to come to seduce our sisters, give them money from the money stolen from the oil money, so that they will have children, so that because they are trying, because that's the only way. The British told them the only way to really defeat the Igbos or South Eastern Nigeria is to make sure that first and foremost they get their men, they get their women, their men to join them in the slaughtering of cows, abattoir. Then for the women, give them presents and so on, marry them. All right, these are plans they have. That of the Middle Belt they've already conquered. The North they've already conquered. Right now they are dealing with the Southwest. But they said the only way to get the Southeast is through this means. Bribe them, give them something, because they're so vulnerable, they're so embedded in wealth, that to give them something, they will sell their soul, sell their mother, they sell their father, sell their friends, sell everything just because of money. We are promising them that the time will come, we identify, we know all of you. We don't have to deal with it right now. Our mission right now is to educate you, most of you. And our style is we don't abuse you because we know you didn't know. That's why I'm calling on RBI. I'm glad anyway. I don't even need to say anything about that. We have decided the way we're going to be presenting our topics. To be abusive like some other radio station that we abuse our people, or how stupid our people are. No. Our style is based on the fact that our people did not know. They were deprived of their rights to know. But ours is to make sure we bring it to the limelight to everybody to understand. So we'll continuously be very patient with our people in our presentation. And that is why in our radio station, come on, ask your questions. If you want to stay 1 hour and say whatever you want to say, we'll give you the time to air your views. We were all starved of knowledge. That's what we are all about. That's what Radio Biafra is all about. Radio Biafra International. That's what we are. And we want to let all the other agitating groups, we are open to working with everybody and anybody who wants to work with us, because we have come to the full realization that Biafra, or the freedom of all the nations in Nigeria, cannot be achieved by only one person. What Biafra has always been, Biafra is the arrowhead. It's unfortunate that people did not understand the way what it was all about. Biafra is not for Igbos alone. I want everybody to understand this. Biafra is the arrowhead that is fighting for the freedom and the liberation of all the peoples in Nigeria. Coincidentally, the Biafrans are the people from the former Eastern region, which is the current Southeast and South. We want to define this thing so that there is no animosity, because what has happened? The Fulani's narration about Biafra is totally wrong. What they have done was to paint us as bad. Planted seed of discord among the Southeast, Southwest, and so on and so on, so that we cannot agree to do what we have to do. But I know from the different forums that I belong, and most of you belong, you see, people are now talking more sense. And Radio Biafra International will continuously help to bring down, the rhetoric. Our rhetoric has to be that of people coming together. Most of you know me, I write a lot. And that's what I do in the different forums. If I'm going to be the only one challenging whatever is done, I want to let them know, let each of these groups to know that you cannot fight this fight by yourself alone. No, it's not possible. Because there are certain things, requirements that we have to meet to be able to extricate ourselves, especially the 1999 Constitution, the current Constitution that we are using is totally written against the people from the former Eastern region. So it's our responsibility to make sure wherever, if you are a member of RBI, understand this very clearly so that whatever forum you belong, help to tell them Radio Biafra International, which is the voice of BRM, is ready to work with everybody so that we can come together to be able to address Islamization and Fulanization agenda in Nigeria. So that's where I'm going to stop for now, for this particular topic. That's how we're going to do it. We are building friendship. So whatever has happened in the past, we want to narrow it down, because listening and reading from so many other the forums that I will also belong, we see that there are situations now that people are coming to full realization of what has happened to us. Sorry for us, really. So we don't have to make it harder by abusing our people. Next is to educate, to bring the awareness, information, and enlightenment. Thank you very much, Mazi. Oh, hello, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Mazi Hamefulu Kando, for that addition to this. For our listeners, before we come to the closure, because we're now going to almost 4 hours of this broadcast, something I want to share with you regarding Islam, and this was by Dr. Bill Warner. And he says here, migration is so important that the Islamic calendar is based on it. Muhammad preached Islam for 13 years in Mecca and had only 150 followers. This was when he called the Jews and Christians. This was when he called the Jews and Christians people of the book. He was driven out of Mecca or migrated to Medina, where he turned into a politician and a jihadist. When he died, every Arab on the peninsula was a Muslim. The migration from Mecca to Medina was the beginning of political success. This is the reason that the Islamic calendar starts with the Hijrah, the journey in 622 AD from Mecca to Medina, formerly Yathrib, but renamed by Muhammad to Medina. So that place used to be Yathrib. We renamed the place. Muhammad is the perfect model of a Muslim. There are 89 verses in the Quran that says that every person is to follow Muhammad's divine example. You see that? Muhammad and his followers were welcomed as migrants by the Jew in Medina. But 5 years later, there were no Jews left in Medina. It was now under the rule of Sharia. Muhammad had wanted the Jews to accept him as one in the lineage of Jewish prophets. Gabriel talked to the prophets, and that he had heard from Angel Gabriel, but they didn't believe him. Muhammad committed 95 acts of jihad in 9 years' time. Did you hear that, my listeners? Muhammad committed 95 acts of jihad in 9 years' time. And he went to Medina, talked to the Jews, they didn't believe him, he slaughtered them, took some of their women as sex slaves, and moved on. Islam fought 548 battles against the classical civilization. 548 battles. Can you imagine that? I want you to wrap your mind around that. 548 battles. And they slaughtered, looted, and took slaves, particularly the women. There were over 200 battles fought in 700 years in Spain. Can you imagine that? 200 battles fought in Spain. So these people, it's all about fighting. And I want these Nigerians to listen to this Christian so you can know what you expect. These pretenses, you need to throw it out of the window, period, if you want to help yourself. In Spain, where they ruled for 7 centuries. That area was called, they given an Islamic name that was called Andalusia. Before they were driven out of the Iberian Peninsula. The reason they stopped was that Islam fell back in technical standards of military weaponry to others. They first introduced Sharia in conquered and unconquered places and persists with jihad until the place is saturated with Islam. Daral Islam, that's what they call the place where Islam is. The yet unconverted are classified as dhimmi, lower caste. You see, they classify you as lower caste immediately, and eventually annihilated, which is a pattern, not an exception. Muhammad's greatest genius was as a warrior. He convinced his followers that his message was straight from God and made them die for him. Turkey, North Africa, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, all used to be Christian. I'll repeat this again. Turkey, North Africa, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, all used to be Christian. Conquered and taken over, grabbing land. And then you have some people who are talking about, oh, Israel is occupying Israel. That little strip of land. Israel is occupying force. What about this? Arab occupation. Vast lands. Nobody talks about it. That's how evil you see this world is when they are talking about issues. Pakistan used to be Hindu. Are you listening? Pakistan used to be Hindu land. Afghanistan used to be Buddhists. Malaysia used to be Hindu. All are today completely Islamic. This has been consistent for 1,400 years because of Islamic doctrine. They are patient and persistent. They think generationally. They invaded Turkey in the 11th century AD. The places that Islam did not succeed was where they were resisted with equal or great determination and force, as in Iberian Peninsula, Central Europe, gates of Vienna, and the Balkans. All of Islam is based on Quran and Muhammad. So we can see, we shouldn't forget this information so we know what we're dealing with. On that note, I will call on our panelists to give us their last words for this broadcast, because we have just about, basically about 10 minutes. So if they can, use 5 minutes each to encourage our listeners to keep on listening and to keep on doing something about Biafra, about your freedom, and not just for Biafra. Those of you who are Christians, those in the Middle Belt, those in every, you have to begin to do something. We as Biafrans will work with you. We love you. We don't hate you. We want you to be free. The reason why we're not including you in Biafra is because we don't know what you have to make your choice to whether belong to or not. But if you have your own name, good, we'll work with you. But look at what you have facing. That's it. Mazi Chukwusikedibe, can you give us your closing remarks? We'll be
Okay, great.
appreciated.
Great Biafrans, freedom fighters, lovers of freedom, men and women, all our great listeners. Thank you for joining us again. It has been another wonderful broadcast from the People's Favorite Radio Station. And today we've talked about the Islamization and colonization agendas. We've talked about karma. We've talked about the water bills. And we really explained to our people what the problems are, why these people are really encircling us, why they're implementing this holistically and systematically. Each time you knock down this bill, they bring it back in another form through the back doors. So and before you know it, they've signed it into law. And that's why people need to wake up. We ask some people to wake up. And one of the worst things that's happening now is the cut-off mark for unity schools. They've so much engraved it into our people that our people are now adopting northern states as a state of origin, so that I can be able to meet, so that I can be able to gain admission. We shouldn't forget that people in the southeast has been discriminated badly based on those entrance cut-off marks. Somebody from any of those southeast will have to score at least 150, at worst 132 over 300 before you can get admission. While somebody from the north will have to score maybe most of the time even less than 5, and then you are there. And then it's possible most of our people who are desirous to go to now adopt any of the northern states as their state of origin. We shouldn't forget the fact that one of the greatest challenges that will happen with this is that will make our people to become who they are not, just to gain admission. And this is because of the Nigerian state. This is what the Nigerian state has made us. They've really hitting us so hard that our people now have to claim who they are not, just to succeed, because this constitution and the country is so screwed to favor certain people. We must get these things down. We must talk about it. We must restrict, we must tell our people the only way to stop this is through the coming of Biafra. If Biafra does not come, do not come, I don't know what will happen to our children. We shouldn't forget that they didn't teach them history. Most of them didn't even know where they're coming from. And then they adopt this state, this northern state, definitely they'll be gone from there because they'll be treated as people from there, and forever they'll be lost. So we must make everything possible. We should also forget that one of us, barrister Olisa Agbakoba, once went to court to challenge that discrimination, and it was the court ruled that is discriminatory, that should be stopped, that those discrimination should stop. But up to now, the government has not stopped it because it favors them. Nigerian government chooses law to obey. It's only when they make Biafrans terrorists, they will be forcing us to obey such laws. But when it doesn't favor them, they will not obey. And that's what I'm telling our people. Any just laws must not be obeyed by us. Just laws are no laws. Nobody should obey them. After all, slavery was once a law, but nobody's obeying it because it's a bad law. We must fight everything that discriminates against our people. We must fight it and fight it till we fight it to stand still. That's all we owe our people. And we can only fight it if we are privileged to know about them. And we can only know them if we are privileged to hear about them. We can only hear them when we listen to RBI. So join us every day as we read these messages. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. I thank all of us. Remain blessed. Till next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mazi Chukwusikedibe. You have been of great help to this broadcasting. I fellow listeners, you heard him. I remember he mentioned about Mr. Abakoba taking this case to court and how the government does not obey court orders. This is Fulani for you. This is Islam for you. Because those orders and constitution, whatever it is not above their Islam. It's not above Sharia law. Sharia law is supreme. So that's it. So, they don't obey the law, even though you went to the court and got a judgment in favor of what you went for. But nobody obeys it. They just keep going. they give executive order about something, and then they carry out something that's supposed to pass through the National Assembly. So there is no law, there is no justice in that land. There is injustice and illegalities of all manner of types, and that is because these people with an Islamic mindset have taken over the place. So for the Christians, we say again, think. I'd like Mazi Amifuna to give us his closing remarks for now.
Yeah,
Mazi
thank you again,
Amifuna.
Mazi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mazi Mogalo. Really, we have said all. It's a method of delivery right now that we are trying to convince everybody, especially those of us who are getting involved in the writings and the radio programs, other areas of information that we are trying to provide our people. You first try to remove the narratives that have been directed at us. It makes it very difficult that each time you talk about Biafra or Igbo people, it's like the antennas are all up, what is it all about? We must constantly try to change this narrative. It is very, very important. It's unfortunate that IPOB really is not, I don't know better, from all indications, from all the contacts I'm having, it's like they are really coming down to full realization of the mistakes that were made by the leadership. There were a lot of mistakes, and that is why that really gave rise to the creation of Radio Biafra International and BROM. We want to work with everybody because in the initial plannings, the initial strategies were really, really flawed. We are in a position now, having recited and read most of the other agitating groups. We have found out there are so many things we have in common. It's for us now to humble ourselves to no matter what the misunderstandings we had before, let us try to look at each of these agitating groups and see the things they have that will help us to get Biafra. And wherever we have a flaw, let us discuss them because this is the time for having in-depth discussion across the board. And thank God I like the spirit we have in Radio Biafra International that we're open to every discussion. So we are gradually doing it in such a way that we are really coming up with so many things. As a matter of fact, let me just say one thing. Since I used to be the coordinator of the Houston area and so on, and the IPOB coordinator there, we had a clash. One day there was a meeting there, but finally, as last week, we have come now they have realized what I was telling them about IPOB. So that is one good thing I want us to, I'm sharing now. I just want to share it because it's a fact. The documentation is there. I explained, I said, was it not what I was saying in the meeting and I was attacked? And right now, the coordinator for IPOB, she wrote back and said that she was sorry she didn't understand the problem. Because I'm a very open man, but I must tell you what I believe. And mine, I don't say anything until I have researched it myself. Even with my wife, we argue sometimes on this situation. I say, well, let us talk about it. That's what we must constantly do. And I love BRM and Radio Biafra International, what we are doing. We are very, very exceptional when compared with all the other units. I want us to do some more. What we are going to be doing right now, let us present Biafra an ethnic group. It does not belong to the Igbos. Biafra, okay, its origin started from the former Eastern region. That's how it is. After all, it was Frank Pigo who suggested that name Biafra to Juku during the war, and we adopted it. The Jaws, Igbos, Efik, Bibios, all of us, we are brothers and sisters. We must change that narrative that are pitting us against one another. That's what the Fulanis and the British did for centuries ago. We must work hard, whatever we are doing, and we must check even our conversation, because sometimes They put it as though, oh, the Igbos are very, very aggressive. And it's no, we are aggressive. Yes, I don't, it's true. And it is for a reason, because we have been marginalized, we have been taken advantage of. So for us to survive, we have to be aggressive. We're not taking it down. Igbo is just an ethnic group within Biafra. So as we are all discussing, let us make sure we are changing this narrative. And also, Biafra is the arrowhead, because we have the guts to challenge the British in those days when they came. That they hated us up till today. So Biafra is there to fight for the black man, for Africans, and of course, Nigerians who are under the tutelage of the Fulanese as of today. So it's our responsibility to say this with pride, but not to look down on other people. That's how I'm going to conclude it. We are doing wonderfully very well, because people who are listening to us, and the Mazi Ikedigwe, I'm seeing your work. You are doing fantastic job, my brother. I must say that you are doing fantastic job. That's all I will say. And the Mazi and all of us are doing so well. I can see what is going on in the different forums that I belong. I say, good. That's what is good. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We don't say anything until it has been accomplished. That's our motto. Thank you, Mazi Mawalo, Mazi Anemina, Ochena Wata, all of you that are in the program today, and those who could not make it. It is love from Aham Kando. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Mazi Ahamefula Okando, for that word. You are a very appreciated person of Biafra. We thank you for your sacrifice towards our people and survival of our people during the war between 1967 to 1970. You are a veteran of honor, and we appreciate all your sacrifices. It's because of it that we are talking about Biafra today, and you still continue. We appreciate all our people, and we honor the efforts and sacrifices of those who are dead and those that are living, that have fought for us to exist. We must exist free as a people. We must exist free as a people. You've all had the advice of Mazame Lukandu. Please organize, organize, organize. I cannot reiterate that enough. To organize. Do not sit back and watch and criticize. They need your help. Biafrans, we need your help. Don't just sit back, because when you help, it helps. That's why it is help. That's your hand. God has put something in your head, your hands, in your life that will be beneficial towards the struggle for freedom. But most especially, please look up to our Lord and our God, and our Savior Yeshua, and also the God of Israel to deliver us. For the help of man will be nothing unless he blesses it. Then it comes from him. We will see and we will rejoice, and we will know that it is him. And we will thank him, we will worship him. The idea of restoring Biafra, of salvaging Biafra, is that we may worship God. That is what it is. It is not, we're not going to bring Biafra for self-glory, aggrandizement, and all these things that you see going on in Nigeria. No, the glory now will go to God. And we will live a happy and peaceful life. Once we don't do that, we will revert back to the problems we have in the past. And I'm sure none of us wants that. So I will say thank you so much, my listeners from all over the world. And I must give thanks to our main communication and information technology expert, who is at the root of this radio station, Mazi Leonard Anemina, a very wonderful human being who has made all, innumerable sacrifices because of the love of God and his people, to ensure that we hear the truth, to ensure that we are encouraged and persuaded and educated about the need for us to be free, that we may not be slaves in our lifetime, nor our children, nor our children's children. And may God grant it. And from me, Odimoalo, from me right now, it is goodbye till we broadcast again.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Masa 2020. I can champion of Bakola when on all of my before you be with you. This is what stay safe. We must have coronavirus money from Mato. You don't want to see about holiday now. What can you get here? I want to know before you be with you.
Yes, this is Lord Emeka on the beat. All we want is Biafra people.
All we want is Biafra. All we want is freedom. All we want is Biafra. All we want is freedom. Oh Lord, my God. Oh Lord, my God. We need our freedom. We need our peace to reign. We need our freedom. We need some peace to reign. Killing and fighting everywhere. We need some peace to reign. Some peace everywhere. Brothers do not know his brothers anymore. Oh, oh. Let us keep our hands together as one. Peace to reign. Oh Lord, my God. All we want is Biafra. All we want is freedom. All we want is Biafra.
Lord Emeka on the beat.
All we want is freedom.
I am here calling you, oh Lord, praying to you, singing to you, oh Yahushua, because they made us slaves in our own land. I can remember once upon a time in the Bible where the Israelites used songs and praises to break down the wall of Jericho. This is the kind of miracle we need for our freedom. We know you can answer us as you answer Israelite the days of their slavery in Egypt. They might shoot us, they might kill us. Bloodshed everywhere. Give us Biafra. Give us freedom. Oh Lord Yahushua, I call upon you.
My God. Oh Lord, my God. All we want is Biafra. All we want is freedom. All we want is Biafra. All we want is freedom.
Truer words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people, you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude.
Radio Biafra is proud to launch its new mobile app. This app makes it easier for listeners to access live and repeat broadcasts at any given time. The app is available on Android and Apple stores and is free to install, so just search for Radio Biafra into all one word to get the app on your device.
Radio Biafra International broadcasts are always anchored on well-researched information and not based on personalities, frivolities, and foul languages. The main objective of Radio Biafra International is to empower Biafrans and give them knowledge through professionally delivered information, education, and enlightenment towards the ultimate goal of restoration of the nation of Biafra.
So don't forget, Radio Biafra into all one word.
And join us during our podcasts, and you'll be glad you did.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.